Still nothing? Well, give me anything on China. Yeah. Give me anything on Mamdani. Him on bagging on Mamdani. Yeah, if you can. If not, it's no big deal.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180. Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5276. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for, live from the KERN studio. Here's Ralph.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing for those subscribing on YouTube. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Chris Burdick producing the broadcast on this 29th day of October. Got another busy broadcast. Open enrollment begins in literally a matter of hours, and yet Congress is not in session. There are no real negotiations going on to stop the 29 now day shutdown. We'll unpack that in just a second. And it is a Wednesday, so our good friend Howard Marcus will join us at 4 o'clock. And we'll talk a little high-speed rail. City of Shafter made a decision on dealing with high-speed rail. It's going to come right through their community. And as you can imagine, they are not happy. I don't blame them. And the Trump-Xi meeting is set to get underway in a matter of hours, and we'll delve into the New York mayoral race. And I got a ton of miscellaneous news and notes. My television girlfriend, Abby Phillip, on CNN, has written a book about Jesse Jackson. I almost said Reggie Jackson. On Jesse Jackson's 1988 presidential campaign. It's called A Dream Deferred, Jesse Jackson and the Fight for Black Political Power. And as I think some of you know, that touches a nerve with me because as a fledgling reporter for the Los Angeles Sentinel, a black newspaper in South Central Los Angeles, Black Weekly, I covered the 88 convention. It was in Atlanta. That's one of the reasons we covered it. And Jesse, if you remember, if you're old enough to remember, he was a threat. I listened to Abby describe her book this morning. She was on with Wolf Blitzer on CNN, and she gives him more credit than he deserves. He was never a threat to win the nomination, although he did win some primaries, which caused a stir in the Democratic Party. And he had enough delegates that had he chosen to walk out of the convention, Michael Dukakis could not have gotten the needed votes to be the nominee. So he had power. There's no question about that. And did I send Jesse Jackson audio to you? Yeah, so we got that? Jesse Jackson? Okay, cool. That's incorrect. He ran in 88. Well, that's incorrect. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I swear to God, I looked at that too, and I just thought I was misreading it. But no, that's incorrect. It was 88. 83, I was a junior at Morehouse College. Well, actually, I was a sophomore. I didn't have enough units to be a junior. But it was my third year in Atlanta. And believe me, he was not running for president in 1983. In fact, Ronald Reagan was president in 1983. Ronald Reagan had just gotten shot in 1981. So that's a typo on CNN's part. There's a shock. CNN got it wrong. But and I doubt that he announced 5 years in advance. So it's got to be. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. It's I remember it well. I was 26 years old. It was in 1988. It was a great year. It was my last year at the Sentinel. You remember the story? I was friends with Mike Davis, who was the chief of staff for Maxine Waters, a fairly young, middle-aged congresswoman at the time. And Mike hooked me up with an interview with Reverend Jackson. And I got 45 minutes with him in a trailer in the Omni parking lot in Atlanta. And for whatever reason, we always talk about this. Who was Kim Fields? Kim Fields and her mother. It was a huge trailer. And Jackson's people were on one side of the trailer. And Kim Fields and her mother, Tootie, from Facts of Life. And later, I think her name was Regina on Living Single. Living single, hey, single. In a 90s kind of world, I'm glad I got my girl still on. And they were in the trailer for some reason. I don't know why. They didn't say a word. I had 45 minutes with him, and I left there flying. And because you don't remember how powerful Reverend Jackson was in the late 1980s. He was at the height of his power, and that's why I got some audio so you could hear. He was a powerful speaker and an energetic guy who just had some almost socialistic ideas. And even as a liberal Democrat in my young 20s, I was just kind of like, I got to support you because you're a brother and you're a Democrat. And I hate Michael Dukakis, but he was kind of cuckoo then, I thought, just a little bit. But he was extremely, extremely powerful. I was on the floor the night that he made the convention speech. I think it was the same night that John Kennedy Jr. spoke. But anyway, so I get this interview and I'm flying. It's the greatest interview of my life, and it might still have been. And I went to Atlanta with my managing editor, the late Betty Pleasant, who was just god-awful human being. And she said, give me your notes. And I said, excuse me? And she said, give me your notes. I'm writing the story. And you know me, 25, you can imagine me at 25? And I said, no, you're not. This is my story, to my managing editor. And she was a kind of ghetto, older woman who was like 6 foot tall, biggest breasts and booty you ever saw in your life. She should have been a man because she was built like a dude. And she said, she sounded like my father. She said, I beg your pardon? You do understand I could fire you right now. Give me your notes. And I handed her my tape recorder and I went back to my room and I got a water glass full of bourbon and called my girlfriend and said, I'm quitting. I'm not taking this crap. I'm out of here. And I literally ended up quitting like a month later. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit about that. You'll hear from Jesse Jackson a little bit later. But in the meantime, we do begin with the shutdown. We are in the 29th day now, and it's getting funky. And I don't know, call me crazy, call me stupid, but I have to try to believe that there's going to be some kind of agreement made before open enrollment gets deep, at least. I think for most folks, the ACA subsidies are going to come to an end on the 1st of November, which is what, Saturday? So, and again, Mike Johnson doesn't even have Congress in session. There's a Arizona congresswoman who just recently got elected in a special election, and she would be the tie-breaking vote to release the Epstein files. And everyone is speculating that's why he will not swear this woman in. So they're not even in session. And there are some talks going on, but like I said, when we were in Washington for Honor Flight, I ran into Mark Kelly while we were walking through the Capitol. I saw some other legislators that are there. So a lot of people are still in DC, and like I said, negotiations are going on, but this is getting serious. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, is about to expire. And we're talking about 42 million people that are about to basically lose welfare. SNAP is a really nice way of saying welfare. And I'm not a huge welfare guy, but We have got to feed our people. We are the richest country on the planet, and people are going hungry. Food banks are emptying out. People are getting ready for this thing to expire. And it's just ridiculous on both sides, on both the Republicans and the Democrats. Now, the Democrats are causing this because they've had 13 opportunities to sign a clean continuing resolution and then negotiate the ACA extensions or anything else that they want, because they put in several things. They made several demands. So it's not for the Democrats a clean CR. They're throwing in all kind of, I didn't write them down, but Mike Johnson broke it down the other day, and some audio that we played for you of some of the things that they're demanding. Most importantly, the extensions of the ACA tax credits. But that's not how you do business. That's not how we've done business traditionally. We've kicked the can down the curb. Traditionally, we just sign the CR. Democrats, there's even audio of Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader, talking about that during one of these showdowns, where he's like, well, if the Republicans would just sign the CR, we can negotiate. I mean, it's as if the two sides had absolutely changed. And this is a really serious situation. We're having air traffic problems in Indianapolis, Orlando, Newark, Phoenix, Denver, Washington. This is nuts. The military is not getting paid, and both sides, I don't see how they can compromise. If the Democrats don't come back with the extensions of the tax credits, Hakeem Jeffries will not be the minority leader. That's part of the problem. There's rumblings. AOC is starting to rise as a more prominent figure within the party. And whenever you're the leader, you're looking over your shoulder. And they're worried about nonsense like that, as opposed to people getting fed, people getting their checks. Can you imagine not getting your check? I mean, I've got dough stashed aside for the fourth quarter of my life, but I essentially live check to check. I mean, there's money in my account when we get paid, but I can't imagine missing one or two checks. I'd be, now I'm digging into my fourth quarter life savings. And most people, you hear some of these financial statistics that like more than a majority of Americans couldn't come up with $1,000 that they had to. Who, if that's a fact, who in the world can afford to miss a check or two? And so it's time that these guys stop this stupidity and do something radically different, and now, and absolutely now. And we need 5 senators. You've got to break the filibuster, so we've got to get 60 senators. We have 53. We've got Fetterman. We've got the newly elected senator out there in Nevada, and Angus King, the independent out of Maine. But they're the only 3, and that's really only 2 because Rand Paul has left the party on this issue. So we've got to get to 60. Can we get 6, 7, 5, 4, whatever the hell it is, in 48, 72 hours? I doubt it. I doubt it very seriously. And that's a tragedy. And again, you know my solution. It'll never happen again if they adopt the Bailey method. Along with air traffic controllers, TSA, include the 435 members of Congress and the 100 senators that do not get paid, and we'll never have a shutdown again. Never have a shutdown again. If the 535 inside the Beltway don't get paid when there's a shutdown, it'll never happen again. I guarantee you. The Bailey method. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the day, and we come back. It is a must-win Wednesday for the Dodgers. Series is now tied 2-2, and statistics show that the Game 5 winner wins a 7-game series 68% of the time. Dodgers go down 3-2 and have to go to Canada for 2. Yeah, we could do it because you assume we win Game 6 with Yoshinobu Yamamoto taking the bump. And I think we'd have an advantage on Game 7 because it's all hands on deck. And if we needed 6 outs, you might see YY pitch 3 days in a row. Or not, it'd be 2 days in a row. Or Hershiser did it in '88, saved us with the Mets. But it's a pretty big win night for the Dodgers tonight. It really is. I'll break down some numbers for you as to why we're losing the 2 games that we've lost. And I understand that Dave Roberts has shifted the lineup. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Wednesday, right here on News Talk 96.1, AM 1180, KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Shutdown going to do to keep going. We'll talk about it. We're playing Buck. Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It'll be a spooky weekend all over the nation, particularly here in Bakersfield. And where would you rather be than on F Street Friday or Saturday night celebrating Halloween? Because I know you guys celebrated for like 3 weeks. And don't forget about the Stockyard next door, where there's live music on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. I think Lottie will be there Friday and Saturday. And you can have dinner in there. There's a beautiful banquet room for perhaps Christmas parties if you haven't already booked one, or election parties for election night, whatever the case may be. It is a beautiful banquet room, and it's a little different from the main restaurant. And of course, Bobby is in the main restaurant providing live music Tuesday through Saturday. And I was just there the other night. And by the way, if you do go in, give Liz some love, the redheaded bartender who stayed up with us till midnight. 18th inning night with a longtime sponsor of the Ralph Bailey. You forgot your warrant? Remember, Ron? Checky. Superstar. What's happening? Yeah, school. That's 743-8080, or go to selectquote.com. 1-800-743-8080. What's up? I don't know. Not me, boy. I'll tell you that. So go to UHC.com/Medicare. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage California can count on.
The Charlie Kirk Show, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
You can't play any of that yet, because we're going to get to that. Isn't that one of our, well, but we're down to 4 now. Oh, yeah. We're down to 4, because we were at 2, 4, 6, we were at 8. So now we're down to 4. What do you mean? We didn't get to What You Want? Well, let's do week. I stole his bid from the Today Show. They're doing like NCAA bracket with the greatest, supposedly. Yeah, some of these are questionable. And the first round was Thriller against Bad Moon Rising. Thriller won. The second bracket was I Put a Spell on You versus Somebody's Watching You. Somebody's watching you. I Put a Spell on You won. Then it was This Is Halloween versus Psycho Killer. This Is Halloween won. Then it was Spooky Scary Skeletons versus Heads Will Roll. Spooky Scary won. Then it was Superstition versus Witchy Woman. Witchy Woman won. And then it was John Carpenter's Halloween versus Disturbia. Halloween won. And Monster Mash versus Toxic. How Britney Spears got in there as a Halloween song, I have no idea. Monster Mash won. And Ghostbusters versus the Addams Family. And Ghostbusters won. All right, so now it's down to Thriller versus I Put a Spell on You. What do you got? No, I'm asking you, what do you think won? Yeah. This Is Halloween versus Spooky Scary Skeletons. Yes. Monster Mash versus Ghostbusters. Apparently, it wasn't even close. And Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween versus Witchy Woman. No, Halloween won. So you got to play Thriller, This Is Halloween, Monster Mash, and John Carpenter's Halloween. Yeah, exactly. It's going to come down to Thriller and Monster Mash. And you got Thriller and I got Monster Mash, right? Craig Melvin took Thriller and Savannah Guthrie took Monster Mash. Craig Melvin, I'm talking about the co-host of the Today Show, was surprised that Monster Mash beat Ghostbusters. And I was like, have you gone crazy? Monster Mash is a freaking, it's not even Halloween if you don't hear Monster Mash. And I mean, I remember hearing that literally when I was like in grade school. That song is older than Methuselah because I went to high school with Moses. You know what I'm saying? So, you know why we lost last night, don't you? No. I mentioned it to you during the show. I did not have my array of Dodger bobbleheads up yesterday. I don't know why. And a guy that was like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I said, Chris, I didn't put it up. I'm superstitious. And you were like, oh, stop being stupid. Nope, that's why we lost. That's why we lost. So tonight, I not only have all my stuff up, the 4 Dodgers who hit 30 home runs in one season, Ron Say, Headless Reggie Smith. Here's Reggie. Come on, Reggie. Put your head on, Reggie. Well, that's because it's Steve Garvey, and he is backwards. Big dummy. Should have been the U.S. Senator. Backwards, Steve Garvey, Ron Say, Dusty Baker. And then you got part owner Magic Johnson. And you got one of the great pitchers of all time, Don Newcomb. Although Don Newcomb is so much darker than that. They got him looking white. Doesn't he look white or Asian? Could Google it, Moogly. And, of course, armless Jackie Robinson. And I added the baseball bat that who gave me the baseball bat? Open Door Network. Lauren Skidmore gave me that baseball bat. So that's why we lost. So I'm not concerned. We got it up now. No, you want to know why we lost? We lost because Max Muncy's hitting $176. We lost because Mookie Betts can't protect our star and is hitting. He's 3 for 19 in the series. Dude. On. I mean, I don't Hall of Fame status. I think he's still a first ballot guy, but it'd be a horrible way to end Mookie's career. And Tom Edman is hitting $167. That's just unacceptable. That can't happen. And finally, Andy Paez, who's hitting 80, has finally been pulled out of the lineup. Apparently, because that was what I was going to come in here and say. What they need to do is put Shohei lower in the lineup. You know what I looked up when I was thinking about this morning? In 1935, Lou Gehrig hit 45 home runs, and he had 165 RBIs. It's still a career record, a career statistical high mark to this day. 165 with 45 home runs. Our guy hit 55 home runs. He barely had 100 RBIs. I would put Shohei at 3 He's still going to get just almost as many at-bats as the leadoff guy. I would put Freddie behind him to protect him, because then if you walk him, you got to deal with Freddie as opposed to walking him and dealing with Mookie. But now they've moved Mookie to the throw hole, and Will Smith is going to hit second tonight to try to protect Shohei. But it's a must-win situation. We got to go to Canada up 3-2, and we can win it there. Whether we win game 6 or 7, doesn't matter. Quick out, TRBS. Don't go anywhere.
Interest rate Wednesday for a second time this year seeks to shore up economic growth and hiring even as inflation stays elevated. The move comes amid a fraught time for the central bank with hiring sluggish and yet inflation stuck above the Fed's 2% target. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 74 points. More details at SRNnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN newsroom, you're live at local news updates on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'm Bill Robbins. Protesters are demanding that an ICE facility in California City be closed. Groups rallied for a national day of action to honor lives lost in detention center. City leaders gathered to review CoreCivic's application to operate the old prison as an ICE detention center. Protesters gathered outside have been urging the city to deny their permits. A man could be sentenced to over 100 years in prison after being convicted of shooting and killing a man at point-blank range back in 2022. Michael Castillo was found guilty on multiple charges, including first-degree murder and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Deputies were pursuing Castillo. They searched the home and found an AR-15 they say belonged to him. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries being
About STEM. Quality hospitals right here in Cook County. Medicare Advantage helps women go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today, 661-554-4544. Let us help you understand your healthcare options for 2025. Call today, 661-554-4444. That's 661-554-4444.
Coverage you deserve. For a comment, 661-554-711.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert, presenting The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO and more. November 25th, Dignity Health Arena. Tickets on sale now at AXS.com.
By Thursday's Armstrong and Getty show, Trump will have met with President Xi of China and will know what sort of grand bargain was struck around all these tariffs.
And the city that's saying, thank goodness Trump set the National Guard. There's so much less crime. It's funny, you haven't heard about that from the mainstream media, have you? That in the news of the day, of course, that's what we do on the next Armstrong and Getty show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Armstrong and Getty Show. Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Shaw's neighborhood. And whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down.
Yeah.
Must stand
Yeah, this is gonna
face
win.
the hounds of hell
I don't think there are enough old people.
inside a court.
Although I suppose the Today Show audience is an older audience. But
Well, I think young people love Monster Mash just as much as they love Thriller.
As you may have heard during the commercial for Armstrong and Getty tomorrow, the president is scheduled to meet with President Xi of China in just a matter of hours. And this is gargantuan. It really, truly is. There's a lot at stake here. And I don't like the approach, but, you know, the president and his people know more about diplomacy than I. But I think it's a mistake when you put high expectations on something like this, because if nothing comes out of it, you've let down a lot of people, and in particular, soybean farmers. I didn't know anything about this until yesterday or Friday when I started getting ready for Xi's meeting, and the numbers are absolutely staggering in terms of our trade deal with China. Last year, China purchased $13 billion in soybean. This year, you know how much they bought? Absolutely nothing. It's in a complete boycott. $13 billion. Farmers can't afford swings like that. And so that's one of the things that they're going to be talking about. They'll also be talking about the de-escalation of tariffs, restrictions on rare earth minerals, which is another gargantuan topic, the boycotting of soybeans, Russian oil, which isn't going anywhere. I don't even know why they're going to bring that up, where Trump is going to ask China to stop taking Russian oil. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. They're allies. They're pals, Putin and Xi. So that's not going to happen. Another big one is the chemicals that they make for fentanyl, which is primarily coming out of China. This whole Venezuelan nonsense and blowing up boats. Yeah, they're dealers. I'm not on the Democratic side and saying that they're fishermen and speedboats 12, 15, 20 miles off the coast of Venezuela. That's stupid. But they're low level. They're in speedboats. How much coke and fentanyl can you put in? Now, granted, with fentanyl, you don't need a large compartment to, you know, a box of fentanyl like this, the size of your microwave, can kill like a city, literally. It's crazy. But that's China is the real source of fentanyl chemicals, and that'll be on the table as well. And there are just other issues with China where, in my opinion, you call me a communist if you want, they're kicking our ass. They are kicking our ass, and Xi is looking to the future. You've got to remember how Xi thinks. Xi and Putin literally think they're going to live forever. Do you remember when we talked about this, when there was the Xi-Putin meeting, and they were heard on a hot mic saying that there were ways to cryogenically preserve your organs and that you can essentially live forever? Maybe they were just BSing, but these guys are psychopaths. I think they at least think they could get into their hundreds, meaning that they're going to reign for another 10. And you got to examine what, because the next big is going to be Taiwan. Question, what are we going to do when, particularly during the Fluffy administration, I posed this, because if they had gotten frisky with Taiwan, can you imagine Joe Biden having to fight a war with China? And the question that I pose is, what happens if out of nowhere Xi decides to blockade Taiwan? He does a John Kennedy around Cuba and encircles the island with his destroyers and aircraft carriers. Are we really going to run the gauntlet? Biden promised we'd put troops on the ground. I think that's our policy, regardless of who's the president. But here are some scary numbers for you. At least they scared me. China is building a fleet that makes us look like it's 1935 again, when our Navy was ridiculous and Franklin Roosevelt just got elected president. And thank God, and much like his cousin Teddy Roosevelt, who did the same thing when he got elected around the turn of the century after William McKinley was murdered. Thank God Teddy Roosevelt built up our Navy in the early part of the 20th century, because, as you know, 17 years later, we're in World War I. And the Navy played an absolutely pivotal role in that. And again, when his cousin got elected in 32, he started building up the Navy. And again, 32? 9 years later, we're in a war? a war that was much determined in the Pacific with the Japanese? Well, check this out. In the percentage of ships being built, what do you think the percentage is for China? Percentage
Yeah.
of ships being built in the world.
Around the world,
Around the world.
40%.
74% are being built by China. What do you think our percentage is?
12.
Not even one.
Oh, wow.
0.2 of the number of ships being built in the United States, as opposed to 74% for Xi and his boys. That's crazy. And history really does repeat itself. Don't even read it because you won't, but go Google, just Wikipedia, the book Why England Slept, which was written by a senior at Harvard by the name of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And it basically chronicled how Neville Chamberlain and the English sat on their arses while this unknown painter named Adolf started building up this incredible military in Germany. And everybody in Western Europe was looking over there at Germany. It's like, don't worry about it. What? He's got 10,000 more Nazis? No big deal. We can do business with Mr. Hitler, said Neville Chamberlain. And Kennedy is critical as hell at how World War II could have been either delayed or at least maybe not as expansive had Western Europe done something to confront Hitler while he was building up this army. Because remember, our remembrance, those of us who barely studied history, our remembrance of World War II starts in December of 41, essentially 1942. But the reality is, for those that really did study history, World War II began in 1939. The war was raging in Europe long before Japanese attacked us. And by 1940, Hitler's in France. France is completely occupied. You should know that if you saw Casablanca. And they just sat back and watched Hitler create this massive Third Reich and did absolutely nothing, to the point where when he did invade Poland, there's really nothing they could do. And if China is building 74% of the ships being made on the planet, and we're not even at 1%, what do you think Xi is up to? What do you think he's getting ready for? These numbers are ridiculous. 96% of shipping containers, China. 96%. 80% of ship-to-shore cranes, China. That's staggering. And even an idiot radio host in Bakersfield can see he's up to something. They're not doing this for laughs and giggles. They are preparing. And yes, the president has stepped up. He and that idiot Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of War, are talking about beginning building. But come on, fellas, let's pick it up. Because again, I pose the question, ask yourself, what would we do if tomorrow you woke up and your phone was going off and it says, China has blockaded Taiwan. No one can get out, no one can get in, and they are occupying it as their own. When American policy has lost, if that were to happen, American boots would go on the ground. It begins with a naval war against China. Damn near World War III if it's III. I'm very scared. I really am. And that's why I think this meeting should have been tampered down in terms of expectations. But soybean farmers are on the edge of their chair. Do we do soybeans in this town, in this county?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't think we do.
But this is gargantuan for soybean farmers all over the country. And, you know, beef farmers are all upset because we're taking beef from Argentina, trying to bring down the price of beef. But this is a big deal. This is a big deal, this meeting. It really, truly is. And if Trump doesn't walk away with some kind of concessions on soybeans, you can almost deem it a failure, because it's been a tremendous success so far. the agreement with South Korea, I'll get into after the break, and he was extremely warmly embraced in Japan. So thus far, his Asian tour has gone extremely well. Not going to meet with Kim Jong-un. I don't think that's peace peanuts. He's not a player. He wants to be a player. He ain't a player. He's just a third knucklehead. Now he would be a player in some kind of global conflict. He'd be of great assistance to China and Russia. But right now, he's not a player. He's not a player. He doesn't have weapons that can reach the United States, I don't think. But we'll talk a little bit more after the break. You'll hear some audio from the president, yes, when we come back. Then at the top of the hour, our former federal agent Howard Marcus will join us. We'll get into the vote out in Shafter, dealing with high-speed rail. Talk a little bit about Jesse Jackson. There's a new book out by CNN's Abby Phillip. I don't know what to buy. Or do I buy all three? I got to buy Kamala's. I got to buy Corinne Jean-Pierre's. And I'd like to buy this one. But I'm classic for that. Purchasing 3 books at one time, starting them all, and finishing none of them. Getting like 200 pages into all 3, and then just kind of getting bored, unless they're really, really good. And I can't imagine that Kamala's and Corinne's is very good. But it would be interesting to go down memory lane and rehash the 1988 Jesse Jackson campaign. It was fun. He spent a lot of time in California. I told you my Willie Brown story where he was the West Coast campaign chairman for Jesse Jackson. I got to interview Willie Brown, Kamala Harris's ex-boo, and a black man that was running California for a long time when I was growing up. In the meantime, we got to step aside. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1180, KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, no Dr. Corey because he's lazy, but we will have the latest on the government shutdown. And I just got the list of dentists' preferred things to give out for Halloween, plus news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Hey, everybody, it's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. You know, it's time again for Subaru Loves Pet Month. For the past few years, Sangera Subaru has supported the Bakersfield SPCA's efforts to increase adoption during the month of October. Last year, the Bakersfield SPCA had a total of 73 cats and dogs, all adopted. This year's goal, 100 animals adopted. Plus, Wednesday, October 22nd, Subaru celebrates their 7th annual National Make a Dog's Day. We invite all dog enthusiasts to do something special for their furry friends or maybe consider either adopting or fostering a dog. In addition, the SPCA holding a low-cost microchip and vaccination clinic Saturday, October 25th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. $20 each for a microchip or vaccine. Now is a great time to adopt a pet from the Bakersfield SPCA. Join Sangera Subaru in supporting this worthwhile cause during the Subaru Loves Pet Month. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Oh no, Dad, I spilled juice on the carpet.
Don't worry, kiddo. We have stain-resistant carpet from Carpet Outlet Plus.
Dad, look, he dumped his water bowl all over the new floors.
Everything is fine. We have brand new waterproof floors from Carpet Outlet Plus. You can find everything you need for family-proof floor at Bakersfield's best flooring store. Now offering 1-year, no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
May I help you? I just wanted to request a late checkout, please. Of course. That's $30 per hour for up to 4 hours. Huh. Okay, but if you can offer a late checkout, then that probably means no one is staying in that room. So if it's empty, maybe I can just stay a few extra hours.
Oh, aren't you adorable?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Febreze.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Oh. The mash. I'm on some mash. I can do the mash. I don't think anything the mash. Just one thing. What happened to my attention? It's not a mash. It's not a monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. 812-537-6842-KR. I was telling you that the president's Asian tour thus far is going extremely well. He was warmly embraced by the Japanese's new conservative female prime minister. And in South Korea, he created a $350 billion trade deal with the South Koreans. Korean Air is going to purchase 103 Boeing planes from the United States and $36 billion in U.S. shipping that's going to go on. And Korea gas companies are going to buy 3.3 tons per year of liquid natural gas. That's a big, big win for Donald Trump and his administration. And had Joe Biden been able to come up with that, it'd be 54-point headlines tomorrow on the front page of the New York Times, the LA Times, Chicago Tribune, et cetera, et cetera. But you want some more China numbers that'll scare the crap out of you, or at least it should? China controls 90% of the supply of rare earth minerals. That's what they've been doing in Africa for the last 10 years while we've been fast asleep. There are 17 elements that are important to electronics, weapon systems for aircraft, and they control 90% of them, including the 17 that are necessary for our weapons systems. And they control, they being China, 70% of the world's mining capacity. No superpower, even us, no superpower should have that kind of superiority. If you're just joining us, we talked about the number of ships they're building. They have 74% of the ships that are currently being built are being built out of China, while 0.2% are being built in the United States. That can't be. That just can't be. That can't be that gargantuan a discrepancy between one of the three superpowers in the world. Just can't be. And you have to look at this with a jaundiced eye. You have to think the worst. You have to think Taiwan. Because again, for the third time just in this show, what happens if they put up a naval military blockade around Taiwan? I'll ask perhaps our guest coming up at the top of the hour, Howard Marcus, what he thinks about that. But it would be on like Donkey Kong. We would have no choice but to run the blockade or send in paratroopers, or because, our policy, I don't know if there's a doctrine behind it, but our policy is if Taiwan is attacked, it's like attacking the United States. And we are going to dedicate troops on the ground in Taiwan. We've never even intimated that in Ukraine and never will, I don't think. But we are dedicated to defending Taiwan. And the closeness with Japan helps immensely if that is the situation. It is good to have them on our side, militarily speaking. 842-5376, 842-KERN. You got anything on the board?
Yeah, I got a couple here.
What do you got?
Let's see. First one says Oingo Boingo, Dead Man's Party for Halloween category. I agree. I don't know how that one was left off. That's a
That's
fantastic
a great song. That's a great song.
It never gets played anymore. That's very weird. Let's see. No soybeans in the West, mostly in the Midwest region. And I did look that up. I saw it was in Idaho, Iowa, and Minnesota. Is primarily where they grow them.
All right. By the way, another real quick stat. None of the soybeans are China. Back to Dodger baseball. I know I'm bouncing around. I told you that Muncie's hitting $176, Mookie's hitting $158, and Tommy Edmondson $167. Listen to what the Jays are hitting. Addison Barger is hitting $429. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has cooled off. He's only hitting $368. He came into the series hitting like $450. He really hasn't done much other than that hanging slider that he almost put out of the ballpark last night. Bo Bichette, Dante Bichette's son, is hitting $364. Alexander Kirk Fatso is hitting $357, and Ernie Clements is hitting $316 in the playoffs.
Alejandro Kirk.
Whatever. Fatso is hitting $357. Dave Roberts has done something. When it's he should have shifted the lineup yesterday, but now Smith, Betts in the third hole, Fred him out. But that, after we get by our MVPs, Muncy and Pies is out of the lineup, and I'm assuming it'll be Dean in left and Kike in center. But that bottom of the lineup has got to. You can't win a World Series. Didn't I talk about this all season? That it's all about the playoffs, and we kept guys in our lineup who were hitting 200, 190. And here's the craziness of the whole freaking thing. I think Michael Conforto should be on the field. Isn't that crazy? After I complained for about 120 games, Conforto shouldn't even be in Los Angeles, like literally in the city. I want him out in Sacramento somewhere. But the reality is, the last month, I told you the story of Arieh and I to Bill Lee, and up comes Conforto, and I go, I bet you $20 he makes it out. $20. And he didn't take the bet. And as soon as I pull my hand back, Conforto home run. Hour later, we're just paying attention, not even paying attention, and I look up and I'm like, Conforto's on second. And they show the replay, hit a double. The reality is, at the end of the season, he was starting to come around. And yet making $17 million. And he's either sitting on the bench or in a suite or at the house watching the game, while other guys are hitting in the hundreds. What else you got?
Ralph, of course the Trump administration is going to lie about the concessions with China, just like the ceasefire in Gaza. Of course it was going to get violated, just like China will violate their trade agreements. It's common sense.
No, it's not common sense. That's stupidity. The ceasefire is holding. There was a problem, as we all knew there would. I posed the questions to both David Valadeo and Vince Vaughn when I was back in Washington. I hope you heard that in the interviews that I did with them, where I said, what happens when, not if, when Hamas does not put down their weapons, or some minor faction of Hamas takes out an Israeli soldier, because they're not going to just lay down their weapons. That was supposed to be phase 2 of the ceasefire. They're just not going to leave a void of leadership in Gaza. This was expected. But now Israel has backed off. Hamas has backed off. The ceasefire is holding. And what was the other part that I mentioned?
That they would not hold up to their trade agreements.
Who, China?
China, yeah.
There's no history of that. There's absolutely no history of that. If you want to know the truth, we started this fight with the tariffs. Now, the president's right. The relationship has been lopsided, but there's no, you're basing that on what? You just came up with that in your palatial pad somewhere? There's no facts of that. You can't attribute that to anything. It's just your silly speculation. You're a radio listener, so I guess you have that right. I get paid to do it every 2 weeks, but there's no facts that back up what you're claiming. As we head into the second hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday, headed up the hill to talk with our former federal agent, Howard Marcus, get his thoughts on a lot of what we've been talking about in terms of foreign policy. And Jesse Jackson, a new book out by Abby Phillip, examines his 1988 campaign for president which I covered as a fledgling reporter. I even got to cover the Democratic National Convention in the place of my birth, Atlanta, GA. That's all coming up. It's TRBS. I would stick around if I you.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is set to hold talks with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Thursday's face-to-face meeting between the presidents will be their first since Donald Trump's first term. It comes as tensions remain high between the U.S. and China, as both countries have been willing to play hardball. Even though President Trump has vowed to impose additional 100% tariffs on Chinese exports, he has repeatedly expressed optimism about reaching a trade deal this week. Greg Clugston, Washington.
By a 10-2 vote, the Federal Reserve lowered its benchmark overnight borrowing rate to a range of 3.75% to 4%. Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell says Fed governors are divided about what comes next after today's cut.
There were strongly differing views about how to proceed in December. A further reduction in the policy rate at the December meeting is not a foregone conclusion. Far from it. Policy is not on a preset course.
He indicated the decision will depend on incoming data. A federal appeals court has blocked an order that required a senior Border Patrol official to brief a judge on Chicago immigration sweeps. The court intervened on Wednesday before Greg Bavino's first late afternoon meeting with U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis. She wanted daily briefings after seeing video and other images of confrontation between immigration agents and the public. Ellis's order was an unprecedented bid to impose real-time oversight on the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Bavino is chief of the Border Patrol sector in El Centro, California, and is leading efforts in Chicago. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
Could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
In his new movie, The Dragon's Prophecy, Dinesh D'Souza brings the new Middle East into focus.
Could the fate of the world, of humanity itself, be somehow tied to this place?
At long last, we have peace in the Middle East. Israel and Christians are coming together in a way they have never been before.
But is this the end of Hamas and radical Islam? The Dragon's Prophecy is powerful, prophetic, a must-see movie. Watch it now at thedragonsprophecyfilm.com.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. A high school employee has been arrested for allegedly having sex with a student. Bakersfield Police Special Victims Unit answered the call from Del Oro High School of an inappropriate relationship between the employee and a student. They arrested 26-year-old Salvador Fabian on multiple charges, including having an unlawful sexual relationship with a student. Police say that they don't believe there are any more victims. Fabian was booked into the Kern County Jail. Protesters are demanding that an ICE facility in California City be closed. Groups rallied for a National Day of Action to honor lives lost in detention center. City leaders gathered to review CoreCivic's application to operate the old prison as an ICE detention center. Protesters gathered outside have been urging the city to deny their permits. Advocates have filed a lawsuit against CoreCivic to demand that they shut down. A man could be sentenced to over 100 years in prison after being convicted of shooting and killing a man at point-blank range back in 2022. Michael Castillo was found guilty on multiple charges, including first-degree murder and being a felon in possession of a firearm. The DA's office also says that Castillo had suffered 2 previous strikes. While deputies were pursuing him, they searched a home and found an AR-15 that they say belonged to him. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is on the lookout for a man on multiple weapons charges after he allegedly showed deputies a gun in Rosamond. Christopher Carson allegedly disregarded deputies' orders and displayed a Glock-style handgun while leaving the scene. You can see his picture on KCSO's social media. Carson is considered armed and dangerous. Anyone who knows anything is asked to call the Kern County Sheriff's Office. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think this is, the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You gotta get up close like this. Bada bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 29th day of October. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1180 KERN, where we're streaming live at KERNradio.com. We still got lots to do. Haven't talked about the Shafter vote. They voted unanimously to reject a high-speed rail route that will go right through, I think, the finest community in Kern County. I think it's the best municipally run city. I think it's the cleanest. I think it's the prettiest. I think it's just I covered Shafter as a young correspondent for the Bakersfield Californian. And ever since the mid-90s, I've always believed they have the best city government in Kern County. We'll talk about that. And we'll go back in history, talk a little about Jesse Jackson's 1988 bid to run for president. Abby Phillip, who I'm a fan of, despite the fact that she's an extremely liberal CNN reporter, who was on the Breakfast Club the other day and tried to claim that CNN plays it down the middle. And she does have Scott Jennings and conservatives on, but they also have conservatives like Michael Steele and Alyssa Farah Griffith, who are, I hate the phrase, but they really are Republicans in name only. Michael Steele has a show on MSNBC, just to give you an idea how much of a Republican he is. But she has written a book called A Dream Deferred, Jesse Jackson and the Fight for Black Political Power, and I'm kind of interested in that. We've got some audio of Jesse back in 1988. A Dream Deferred, if you're an African-American and don't know what that referenced, and you know how we talk about, you know, the black examination, like what defines a black person? People, other black folks call other black people Toms because they're conservative, and what it really means to be an African American. Well, if you don't know what a dream deferred refers to, you need to turn in your black card. If you don't know who Langston Hughes is and what he did for a living, well, I won't call you names, but you didn't check yourself before you wreck yourself. Meantime, it's Wednesday. One fresh and tender kiss. So night of bliss. Howard Marcus. Howdy. You know, on my reels, my algorithm has picked up Frank, Dean, and Sammy. And I almost sent Chris some audio. Just like them. I think their heyday, the zenith of all three of their careers was like the mid-'60s.
It was, yeah, Vegas, Tropicana Room.
Exactly.
And Flamingo and all that, yeah, because they'd all show up on stage together and, you know, they'd banter as much as they did any kind of singing.
And they ran Vegas. They ran Vegas.
They did. And people don't realize, you know, that the color barrier is broke by Frank.
Frank, that's right.
Yep.
When he found out that Sammy had to live on the other side of town and couldn't swim in the pool in the hotels that he was performing at, couldn't eat in the dining rooms. And Frank said, if he can't eat here, I'm not eating here. And you're right. They broke it down because of Frank. You're absolutely right.
Yep, he had a lot of clout.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, great times. I remember my parents going, you know, back then, in fact, first time I went years ago, you dressed up for dinner. You didn't show up in flip-flops and cutoffs, and now you do. You know, they show up, and I guess they show up in, you know, house slippers and pajamas.
Yes.
Really?
It's crazy.
You know?
The things that I see at Casey Steakhouse just blows me away. Blows me away. The tire and guys spitting in bottles because they're chewing at the table.
Oh, that's gross. I throw them out.
It's like who raised you? Spitting in beer bottles because they had to put a dip in.
You can't wait till you get out of there.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Well, no, there's been a degradation. Look, they don't teach manners in school. They don't have cotillions. They don't do any of the stuff that, they don't have home ec for girls and shop for guys anymore. I think driver ed schools is gone. Life skills aren't being taught anymore, including manners.
You're absolutely right. I had lunch with 2 females today, and they were talking about how men of this generation of today don't open car doors, don't do just the simple, easy things you could do as a man that raises your own personal stock. When I go to open a door for a woman, she's like, "What are you doing? You think you're driving?" I'm like, "No, I'm opening a door for you." And they about faint. They're like, "What? I've never had this done for me." And I'm like, "Really?"
No, it's old school. In fact, there's a thing I watch online occasionally. It's called it's a radio show. They call in on these dates. The girl goes, "Why does the guy call me back?" And the one that makes all the points, they go, "He opened the door for me."
That's all it is.
When I came back to the restaurant from the bathroom,
That's all it takes.
Chair out.
Or exactly, standing up
automatically.
Yep, exactly. Standing up when a lady comes into the room, grabbing her chair for you, as you mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah, the simple
I
thing.
do it all the time. I mean, it's just something that you are raised. If you do it, it's automatic. It's not something you have to question or. And there was a time when if you did it, women would get outraged. I don't need you to open my door. That's gone because it's been so infrequent that people do it. It's a shock when you do it for them.
Yeah, it really is. And
I hate to be dating nowadays. I hate to be 20-year-old and dating. It's such a different world.
That's what we were talking about. These ladies aren't 20, but yeah, that's what we were talking about. That the dating world is a nightmare. It really, truly is. But what's on your mind on this Wednesday, Mr. Marcus?
Well, something I thought of it, and it hasn't really been talked about is, we talk about all the strikes on the drug boats, the fentanyl crisis, and all that.
Yeah.
And we've been this drug war has been going on for over 50 years. In fact, really since the 30s. If you remember Robert Mitchum getting busted for marijuana.
Yeah.
And reefer madness and all that. But the main problem we've had is that we create the demand; they fill the supply.
Yeah.
That if we didn't use drugs, there would be no drug running. There'd be no cartels. Yeah, and I have a huge amount of addictions in my family, so I've seen how it devastates a family. And the reality of it is, unfortunately, that we have destabilized more governments in Central and South America, and we have lost more civil liberties here in the war on drugs. And there's no end in sight because what ends up happening is there's a generational evolution of drugs, whether we speak Molly or ecstasy or LSD or marijuana or cocaine or crack. There's always a new evolution of drug, and we immediately outlaw it, which I think, unfortunately, is something we have to figure out how to fix. I'm not sure the answer because it doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal, people are going to use drugs.
Yeah.
And I don't have a ready answer. Unfortunately, what we do in the return is we take countries like Mexico and devastate them, destroy their culture and their identity and their borders and everything else, and crime runs rampant. Or we make enemies out of countries that used to be fairly good friends with us over what we've done. The war on drugs in Colombia, we ended up being civil war as a result.
Yeah. And now coke and heroin are making a dramatic comeback.
Yeah, amazing.
Because when was it? Like the 80s when heroin because heroin was gargantuan in the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Yeah, it made a comeback in the 80s.
And then it kind of dwindled in the 70s and the 80s, but now it's resurging again. And so is cocaine, which kind of went away for a little bit.
Yeah, the 80s was big time. That was coke. That was all the yuppies in Wall Street and all the movies about it. And, my sister's been my stepsister, I should say, lifelong addict since 16, as you know, 62 or 63. And you can see the generational shift because she would just shift the drug use to the common drug of the time. So it was cocaine or it was crack or, lately has always been meth. And, it's unfortunate that we just replace one drug with another. We don't actually stop the addiction.
No.
We can't seem to stop the usage. We just make another one illegal, which I don't really have an answer whether it should be illegal or illegal. And in return, we spend trillions. Literally, we have spent trillions of dollars and lost thousands of lives to drugs that we have no control over.
Yeah, the opioid thing is crazy. It was just last week. There was, I think, a group of 3 girls that were found dead of a fentanyl overdose.
Why would you use fentanyl? I mean, whether they use it as a filler, but there are people that are using fentanyl as fentanyl. That's the part I don't get.
That's what I don't get. And many times the dealers are mixing it in with other pills.
Right. Which, again, why are you trying to kill your clientele? That's the part I don't. Okay, look, you're a drug dealer. You want to sell drugs. You want to have addicted clients. Why would you want to kill them?
Yeah. Well, because they're too stupid not to use enough to get them addicted, but not enough, but too much to kill them.
Yeah, it is very sad.
Crazy.
Honestly, I don't think there's a real answer.
I don't either.
No,
I don't either because it's the nature of who we are as a society. You know, we're the only country, I think, in the history of mankind that has the word happiness in our declaration, in our Constitution. You know, the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. Well, there's no, I mean, but it's the pursuit of happiness. And I think we've evolved it into, I'm supposed to be happy. That's why I always say on the radio, life sucks. Life sucks. And then you have blips. We all have blips, whether it's your son hitting a home run at the ball game or it's Lily coming in and telling me that she passed some test she was taking. We all have blips in our lives that make us happy. But you can't live happy. That's not life. Life is a struggle.
It is. You know, you're in a waiting room between life and death. That's how you fill your time in between.
Yep.
Whether it's family, friends, or activities. And you know, the older you get, you and I are in the same rough age group. You realize how fleeting it is, and how all of a sudden you go from a young man to middle age to old, and what you accomplish, you know, in the end result, without being depressing, really means nothing because 20 years after you're gone, you're gone.
Yeah.
And so you fill it for yourself, your family, your friends, live life to the fullest, and realize there's going to be ups and downs.
Yeah.
And you live for the ups, and you try and get through the downs. And you know, I've come to realize that. You know, health is, you know, how fleeting good health that you take for granted when you're 20.
No kidding.
You know, and the same thing with family. How you start losing friends and family as you get older, you realize, man, this is, you know, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah. Yep.
Very
Absolutely right.
I don't want to get depressing. It's just the way it is. You know.
You're right.
And so I have people that I try to think of life as a glass half full. It's hard to sometimes, but you make the best of what you can do. You find activities and friends that you like to do, and you know, you basically trying to keep a good attitude, and that's the best you can do, really.
Yeah, because I'm having, as I have admitted on the show, I'm having a real difficult time with being old. You know, I joked when I was in my 40s and my 50s that I was a middle-aged old man, but now I'm literally an old man, and I'm having problems with it. You know, I'm having problems with the fact that there are certain women that I simply can't have.
Nope.
They're not going to date some guy who's the age of their father, if not older. And there are just certain things that I can't do any longer, you know, and I'm having troubles with it, you know, and I'm having more and more health issues. And I'm trying to be the Howard Marcus, the glass half empty, half full, but
it's hard to do.
It is hard to do. It is hard to do.
Well, you look at a 4-year-old going, "Oh, she's too young."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it really, you know, we were wondering.
40-year-olds are out of my wheelhouse right now. Hell, Howard, I had a 50-year-old who I used to date who told me I'm completely out of her age range. And I'm like, 10 years. Yeah. I used to date her like 50.
She's insane. She's going to live in an apartment full of cats then.
Well, no, you know where because she looks good, Howard. She looks good at 50. She looks like she's 35. You know what she told me? I said, what are you talking about? We used to hang out and blah, 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 and we were great, blah, blah, blah. I said, bro, I have 25-year-olds hitting on me.
Well, okay.
And I was like, okay.
That's an exception to the rule, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because not most 50-years look 35, but she stayed in great shape. She was an athlete and stayed in great shape and looks remarkable. But
well, it's a difference in attitude. When you're, you know, when you get to a certain age, you notice that your preference for what you like to look at. And look, remember, I'm married, so I got to be careful what I say. But the reality is, you're looking at 4-year-olds going, wow, she looks pretty good. And you wouldn't have given her a second glass 20 years ago when you were in your 40s. You know, and the reality is that as you age, your perspective changes and what you're willing to accept.
You're right.
That if, you know, what it's going to end up happening, Ralph, is you'll be the hottest guy in the old folks' home because the way it'll work is there's less and less functioning guys and a lot of single women in your age group.
Yeah,
it just works out that way.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. No, you're right. You're right. When I was in my 40s, I was still dating 20-year-olds.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And when I was in my 50s, I was dating a 31-year-old. Granted, it lasted 4 months, but now at 60, women look at me like, Gramps, have you lost your mind?
Well, that's the sad part because they know there's no long term, and you know that deep down there's no long term. I have friends that are
settle
20 years
down
older
there.
than their
Settle
wives.
down there, Howard. I'm not going anywhere. Settle down there. I can hang around another 20 years.
No, when you should plan on it. I mean, I do. I mean, nobody wants to go early, but I'm in the same age group you are. I'm in the same health problems you're going through, and it's common to everybody. I hang out with guys in my age group, and most of them actually are a little older, to be honest, than me. Within up to 20 years older, and the reality of it is they all have health issues. There is no guy that I hang out with that doesn't have some major issue. It's because it's part of the aging process. That's just inevitable. There are very few guys that are doing handsprings at 80.
True that.
And, you just learn to deal with it. It's, thank God we have the medicine that's advanced as much as it is, because you remember the average age, 100 years ago, if you made it to 40, you're doing pretty good.
How long ago?
100 years ago.
Oh, 100, yeah. Yeah.
Turn of the century, the reason people getting married at 13 is you were hoping that the wife would have a couple kids and she'd make it to 30.
Yeah.
Right. Just things that we take for granted would kill people.
And now, presidents are running in their 60s. Gavin Newsom's damn near 60. He's 59. And he looks good and is in good shape. And what's Trump? 79, 80?
He's 79 still. He's turning 80. He's 79. I watched him dance in front of the Indonesians.
That was great. That was great.
Aware and is a hoot to watch.
Yeah, that was funny.
Almost 80 years old. Think about it. They consider Reagan decrepit.
Yeah.
And now that's the norm. You get these really old white politicians, whether it's on the right or the left, and they're still going strong.
Yeah, I agree. Mark Swain just texted me. He's a couple of years older than I am. He said, "I'm not old. Knock it off."
Well, it's all attitude.
It is. Mark's in great shape. He's still a great athlete. He's still a great golfer. He hits the ball 270, 280 yards at his age, while I'm hitting 200-yard drives. It's just everything just makes me feel old. It just makes me feel like, what the hell is going on?
You got to get a program. You got to stay active, and you got to, like you said, know your numbers and take care of yourself. I shot skeet this morning, a bunch of guys. The oldest guy was 86, and he was there plunking away and did really well, and he's been doing really well.
Wow.
And the average age of the guys I shoot with is between 75 and 80. No kidding.
Really?
Yeah, and they're all out there having a great time and good attitude. We laugh and we joke. I've been shooting with these guys for over 25 years, and we've lost very few of them. They're all doing real well. They're actually relatively healthy, and they all have to be honest, they all have a great attitude. I think that's the big difference.
Yeah, that is. I'm fighting it, Howard. I'm fighting it. I'm trying to stay positive.
You look in the mirror and go, "Where did this old guy come from?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
God, you should see this. I'll show it to Chris. You know how Meta will create a cartoon of you?
No, don't do that.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh, come on. That ain't me.
No, you look like Methuselah. You do that.
Yes. Crazy. I'll leave you with this. We got a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Are you expecting anything out of this Trump-Xi meeting tonight?
No.
No?
The Chinese play the long game plan. They'll say whatever it takes, because we've had these meetings before. We've had these agreements, and they violate them every time. Whether it's intellectual theft, whether it's active spying, whether it's resource, what they're doing in resource globally is amazing. We've been ignoring it for so long. This has been going on since the Clintons, when we sold them the Cray computers, and they started to steal stuff. They're still arresting guys. They just arrested another guy for trading a U.S. military guy for secrets to China. We are in a Cold War that is about to go hot. And so many people are in a state of disbelief over it, and we're not taking it seriously.
Do you hear the discrepancy?
Whatever it takes to make Trump happy.
Do you see the discrepancy in the military naval building that's going on? 74% by China, 0.2% by us.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they are preparing.
We've got a new coalition. We just gave a huge submarine deal to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
They're now building coalitions because all the countries in Southeast Asia are aware of what's happening. And they've had a conglomeration of these countries for a long time. They're very actively now coordinating. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't count on the U.S. on the Straits of Taiwan. It just depends who's president. If it's a Republican, maybe. If it's somebody like another Biden, or God forbid, from Kamala Harris, Taiwan's toast.
So you think we give up Taiwan without a fight?
Depends who's president.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Because Biden was committed to putting troops on the ground. Now, whether he would have followed up on that, we'll never know. Thank God. But
you remember, we sold out China 40 years ago with the One China policy.
Yeah, you're right.
Taiwan was an independent country. We basically sold them out. It all started with the Olympics under Carter. We sold them out 40 years ago when we ignored the right to self-determination by a country that does not want to be part of communist China.
Yeah.
Independent, geographically different, and we allowed them to be basically sublimated to the interest of a one China policy from the communists. Nothing new.
Yeah, nothing new. That's scary. It really is. Got to fly, Howard. Always good to talk to you. Say hi to Mary. Have a great weekend.
All right, I will.
Bye, buddy. Take care. Howard Marcus. Not a lot of time before we get to the bottom of the hour. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1, AM 1180, KERN, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Thursday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show will give you the absolute latest on the shutdown. And President Trump is in Asia, theoretically meeting with China. We'll see how that goes, Buck. Plus, could a trade deal be on the horizon? We will break that down for you. We'll take a look at what it would mean for the economy. Plus, speaking of the economy, what's the shutdown going to do to it if it keeps going? We'll talk about it on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
King Door Company continues to set the standard in the garage door industry, and I'm here to tell you a few of the reasons why. First off, King Door carries Clopay garage panels and LiftMaster openers, so you're guaranteed quality and reliability well beyond the reach of most garage door companies, and it just gets better from there. King Door has a fleet of fully stocked service trucks with all the parts and tools to handle any job quickly and efficiently, and those trucks are manned by the most knowledgeable technicians anywhere. They have all the technical expertise imaginable and the most up-to-the-minute training available. In fact, King Door is so committed to training that they have the King Door Academy, a full-size, state-of-the-art classroom right on the premises with all the latest teaching aids, including working garage doors to simulate any installation, repair, or technique. Your garage door is a very important part of the safety, security, and look of your home, so don't trust it to anyone but King Door Company. Call them today at 397-2744, stop by the showroom at 7450 District Boulevard, or check them out online at kingdoor.com. King Door Company, your company with the pride of a lion.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-399-7272. 800-399-7272. Again, that's 800-399-7272.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Which one is this? Oh, that's right. Jamie Lee Curtis. Have you seen the last one?
I
saw the penultimate one.
Same.
That wasn't bad. Was that the one with LL Cool J?
Oh, no. I don't think
he didn't play a security guard in that one?
That would be H2O?
That's the second to the last one, isn't it?
No. H2O is the second one. No, I'm sorry. No. Because the second one's technically, I think, or was the third one the Witches?
I don't know.
Because one of the original three, they completely veer off and go away from Michael Myers.
Okay, I never saw any of those.
No, but
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie
Lee Curtis isn't in any of those.
Oh, Jamie Lee's been in
with the Witches.
Not in the one of the Witches, but she's been in every one with Michael.
That's what I'm saying. She wasn't in the one with the Witches.
No, I don't believe so.
But H2O, I thought was the second to last one.
I don't believe so.
LL Cool J is the security guard who.
Because there's been 2 or 3 recent ones.
That's what I'm saying. The last 2.
Oh, H2O was a long time ago.
I'm not a big horror guy. We head into the back half of the hour. What did I just say? The city of Shafter.
Just in case. I'm not sure.
That's not really what I said, but FCC can't get me. I didn't mean it. The city of Shafter voted unanimously to reject a high-speed rail plan that would gut their community, in their opinion. We'll unpack that for you. Talk about Jesse Jackson, new book on his life and his run for presidency in the 20th century. That's all coming up. I'd stick around if I you.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Hurricane Melissa has left a trail of destruction across Cuba, Haiti, and Jamaica. The storm made landfall Tuesday in Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane with winds reaching 185 miles an hour. Officials say at least 25 people have died across
Is that the
Haiti.
second to last one?
In Cuba, officials report collapsed homes and blocked roads with 735,000
Which one
people
is
in
LA?
shelters. Jamaica faces widespread power outages and communication blackouts. The United States will share closely held technology to allow South Korea to build a nuclear-powered submarine, according to President Trump on social media Thursday after meeting with the country's president. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 74 points. The Nasdaq rose 131. This is SRN News.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. A woman has been found guilty of felony DUI in a crash where she drove her car into a home, injuring a family. The crash also left a toddler with a skull fracture and broken bones. On September 14th, 2022, Madison Williams, driving a Mercedes-Benz, ran a stop sign and crashed into the home on Old River Road and Taft Highway, her car catching fire. Residents managed to escape but were hurt. The Department of Justice plans to monitor polling sites in California and New Jersey for the November 4th election. In California, polling sites in Kern County will be monitored, as well as those in Riverside, Fresno, Orange, and Los Angeles counties. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Norma Diaz, owner of La Rosa Fruit Bars and Ice Cream.
Hi, I'm Norma Diaz from La Rosa Fruit Bars and Ice Cream, and I'm a client and friend of Paul Sheldon. I've known Paul for many, many years, and my parents happened to be his first clients. So, of course, I called Paul and immediately felt this peace come over me, knowing that I didn't have to freak out about making a big decision. His knowledge about Medicare and your health insurance needs are beyond compare, and I was taken care of immediately by his wonderful staff. He knew everything that I needed and what I wouldn't need, so I was pretty much in and out of there in record time. If you're getting to that age or you're going to be needing to know about Medicare, then he's the one to call. He will totally help you out and get you pointed in the right direction. You're going to leave there feeling a great accomplishment and no concerns. And even if you have questions later, his staff can help you out. Those feelings are just priceless to me. So call Paul. You'll be glad you did.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298. By Thursday's Armstrong and Getty show, Trump will have met with President Xi of China and will know what sort of grand bargain was struck around all these tariffs.
And the city that's saying, thank goodness Trump set the National Guard. There's so much less crime. It's funny you haven't heard about that from the mainstream media, have you? That in the news of the day. Of course, that's what we do on the next Armstrong and Getty show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now everybody's waiting for the next surprise.
Which one is this?
This is Halloween. So further in.
I could have just waited.
That's just fine. Say it once, say it twice. Take a chance and roll the dice. Ride with the moon in the dead of night.
Everybody scream! Everybody scream!
It's a fantastic film. I highly recommend it.
Where's the hook where they say, this is Halloween?
it's because the entire movie is based around this world called Halloween Town, where all of like the nightmares and creepy ghoulies and whatnot live, and then they create Halloween for the real world, and then they find a whole bunch of different worlds like Christmas Land and all this other stuff, and that's how it all mixes together.
Scott is so weird. I left my coffee in here yesterday,
I know.
and instead of pouring it out and putting the cup up, he just put it to the side. Like, let Bailey clean up his own mess. Like, really? It would take him, I didn't do it on purpose. I don't know. This place is crazy. 842-5376, 842-KER. What do you got on the board?
Hey, Ralph, did you ever watch that hockey documentary on Netflix with the mob in it?
No, not yet. Not yet. There's so many things. I got a whole list of things I'm supposed to be watching on Netflix that I haven't gotten to. I haven't even watched quarterback or the wide receiver documentaries, any of that stuff. The golf thing, I haven't watched that. I got like 8 things on my plate that I'm supposed to be watching on Netflix. But I'm about to start reading a couple of books, so I don't see that happening anytime soon. I'm going to go I don't know, I can't go this evening. Dodger game starts in 25 minutes. Well, I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble. We're right up the street from Barnes & Noble, if you don't know where we're located, right off California, just west of the 99. And I got to read Corinne Jean-Pierre's book, just out of curiosity. I want to hear Kamala complain, because I think she is going to run, as crazy as she is. I actually want her to run. I want her to know. It had nothing to do with 107 days, the title of her book. You ran in 20. You were just as incompetent. She put all her eggs in the Iowa basket, tried to pull a page out of the Barack Obama playbook, and didn't even participate in the primary, in the caucus. She was that bad a politician. She just wasn't liked. And she had remember, that was the debate where she went after Biden and talked about how Biden had chummed up with racist Klans members in the 60s and the 70s and was against busing. And she buried the lead and talked about this young Oakland girl who had to be bused as a young girl and created this horrible scenario and said, Joe, you know who I'm talking about? I'm talking about me. That's me. That was the girl in Oakland that had to do all those things. And she had a pretty good night and yet couldn't even get through the Iowa caucuses. So I hope she runs. I really do. And I hope Newsom runs, which obviously is. And I got a bad feeling. Well, let me be blunt. We're going to lose Proposition 50. Proposition 50 is going to pass. Please don't let that prevent you from voting, but it's going to lose. It's going to lose. And I just got a weird feeling, a gut feeling in my stomach that that's going to propel Newsom. That's going to be a gargantuan win for him. And the party might coalesce around him, and maybe that's a good thing. If I'm JD Vance or Marco Rubio, I would love to run against Gavin Newsom in a national campaign. In fact, I would begin with what we're going to talk about here in just a second: high-speed rail, which is destroying communities all up and down the state of California. Nobody's happy with it. It is the single biggest boondoggle in American history. So I guess I should be rooting for these people. But I got to read all those 3 books. And the book I'm going to talk about a little bit later on Jesse Jackson, just to relive. That was a great period of my life, that campaign, and covering, like I said, covering Jesse in Los Angeles, because he had huge events in LA. And I would get to go to these palatial pads. I told the story. I met Don Lewis. You don't even know who Don Lewis is, do you?
No, sir.
Did you watch Different Strokes? Different World? You didn't watch Different World as a little boy? That's before you too?
Yeah, remind me of the concept.
It was a spinoff of Cosby. Did you watch Cosby as a kid?
Yeah, I watched Cosby.
Okay, so Denise, who is Denise? Kravitz's wife, Lisa Bonet. Lisa Bonet goes off to college, and that's the spinoff. She goes to a fictional, historically black college, Hillman College, and that's where they pick it up. And Don Lewis was one of the stars of that show.
Gotcha.
And I met her at a fundraiser and almost had my celebrity hookup. Totally winning, got her number, and just was like, dude, you drive a Chevy Chevette.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I was making $300 a week
And?
living with my uncle.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
What was I going to take her to like an airport hotel to hang out?
Sure.
Couldn't take her back to my uncle's pad. Shh, my uncle's in Inglewood, in our palatial estate in the ghetto. No, it wasn't really the ghetto. Wasn't the ghetto then. It's the ghetto now. I've gone to Eucalyptus off of La Tierra and La Brea. Whoo! I've seen that old complex. It's all boarded up. Everybody's got steel bars on their windows. Everybody's got steel barred gate doors on their door before you get to the real door. None of that was going on in the 80s. Oh, Inglewood has changed. And the other part of Inglewood has been gentrified, where they're raising apartments and bringing up these palatial pads and getting $3,000-$4,000 a month for the condos that they put in there. I miss the 20th century. I really do. But yeah, I punked out. I'm a punk. I was a punk back then. I stopped at the point, the Lisa Bonet story. Speaking of Lisa Bonet, I'm going into another Bailey story. I'm in my mother's car. I'm not in my Chevy Chevette. I'm in my mother's Lexus. And I stopped at the gas station on Robertson Boulevard in right before you get to Beverly Hills. And she's with this big fat girl who's pumping the gas. That's how long ago it was. And as she's going in, I'm pumping the gas, and I see Lisa Bonet sitting in the passenger side of the car. And so I've got to pass by her car as I go by, and I just said, "Hi, I'm Miss Bonet, big fan, loved Angel Heart. That's a great movie." And she said, "Really? Thank you." And we just started talking, and bada-boop, bada-bop, bada-boop. She said, "What are you doing tonight? I'm having a party up in Hollywood. You should come." And I said, "Are you serious?" Because I told her I worked for the Los Angeles Times. I'm pretty sure I told her the Los Angeles Times. And she gave me a card with her number on it and said, "Come to the party." And I took the car home. I said, "Mom, I need the car tonight." And she said, "Absolutely not. I'm going to dinner with Mrs. Sewsbury, and I need my Lexus." I said, "Mom, can't Mrs. Sewsbury drive? I really need the car tonight." And the only reason I didn't go to that party is because it was valet parking, and I was not going to take my Chevy Chevette into the Hollywood Hills. I was a punk. Because you would have thought, I could have parked in Compton and walked to the damn party and at least seen, Jamal and Malcolm Jamal Warner and all the celebrities, and just, it would have been you imagine the story I could tell, really? As opposed to I was scared to go in my Chevy, in my go-kart.
Wayne Gretzky.
Big dummy. And I thought it was the smart play at the time. Big dummy. It's true that you should write this down because you're still young. When you get old, you regret more the things you didn't do,
right,
rather than the things you did, even if you screwed it up.
Right.
It really is. Please stand by. I'm getting it. I'm on hold. Somebody's on the phone.
I know. We have multiple.
Oh, who you got?
First is Cindy.
Cindy, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Hi, Ralph. It's Sandy.
Sandy. I was wondering. I was like, Sandy just texted me. Sandy must be the next caller.
I apologize.
What's up, Sandy?
I was waiting, and I was thinking, Ralph, come on.
Sorry.
But
I got rambling,
in reference, I know, sorry. In reference to a book,
Yes,
this is a book my sister, Robin, who you know.
I do know her well.
Yes, we're talking about the other day, and I said, what book have you recommended to people the most, to the point where you just bought it and handed them out?
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, yeah, this one for sure. Have you ever heard of 1 Second After?
Is that about John Kennedy?
No.
What's it about?
It's about, and it's fictional, but the foreword is written by Newt Gingrich. It's about an EMP strike that takes out all continental United States.
Really?
What happened?
By whom?
And the guy's name is...
No. Who attacks us?
You know what? There ends up being 3 of them, but I don't think in the beginning they even know who, because we don't have any communication. I mean, there's a big run on pharmacies, all the things that you never thought of that would happen. Only like field hippies with cars that have no computers. Did their vehicles work? And I mean, it was just, it's so good. It's
Wow.
so good.
Have you finished it or you're in the midst of it?
Dude, I read it like 10 times.
Really? I'm not a big
it's
fiction.
Amazing.
I'm not a big fiction guy.
It's not written like fiction.
Yeah.
It's written more like a 1876 or 1776.
Right.
It's written more like Band of Brothers.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
All right.
Band of Brothers was written like fiction, but it was really true.
Well, I will look for it because I'm definitely going to the bookstore tomorrow. Tomorrow's a travel day, right? Yeah, I'm going to the bookstore tomorrow after the show.
I actually have a brand new copy I'm holding on to because I just got it for another friend.
Yeah.
But you will regret that you haven't read this earlier.
Really?
It's that much. It's amazing.
Well, come by the studio tomorrow and let me read yours.
I will try. You know what? I will very much try to do that.
Do you know where we are?
No.
1400 Easton Drive. You know where Marie Callender's is?
Oh, yeah.
We're right up the street from Marie Callender's. Easton is just on the other side of California.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we're in the business complex next door to the Motel 6. And it's suite 134.
Okay.
And I get here at about 2:30.
Okay. You and I will have to talk about this afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for your take.
Okay.
You will think about it for the rest of your life. Things will pop up that you'll be like, ooh, that's something that would have happened. That's something I should have salt on hand because it's going to be a commodity. I mean, it's so good.
Okay. All right. I got to fly. Thanks, Sandy. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Take care. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Who else you got?
You got Sean on the line now.
Sean, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
How you doing, Mr. Bailey?
What's going on, Sean? Ralph
Ralph
Bailey. Yes, just
Mr.
Ralph.
Bailey.
Just Ralph.
Yes.
Just Ralph.
Mr. Ralph. Mr.
No,
Ralph.
no. What are you, my butler? No, I'm Ralph.
Ralph.
Come on. What do you got?
Appreciate your take earlier on China and America.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have two questions.
What do you got?
Is it possible for China and Russia with this advanced military weaponry and capabilities that they're having to attack America? And my second question is it possible too that the Democrats will come back in the midterm elections and take the House and win the Senate both?
Well, let me start with the second question first. Historically, the president who is coming in for a first term, and essentially this is a first term because it was interrupted by Biden, loses the midterms. The only president in the 21st century who did not lose the midterms was George Bush, because that was shortly after 9/11 when his approval rating was out the roof because we galvanized as a nation after 9/11. I don't know how old you are, if you lived through that or not, but we were one country for the first time for like 2-3 years after the 9/11 attack, and then we went our separate ways again and became divisive. So it's likely that we're going to lose the House, but I think given the shutdown and the stance being taken by Chuck Schumer in the Senate and Hakeem Jeffries, I think it's in doubt now, when normally it would not even be a question. And with the slight majority we have, but I think that we have a boxer's chance. In terms of your first question about an attack, Détente is pretty strong. Détente is still working. The idea that if they truly attacked us and it got funky, it would go nuclear and then we all lose. So it is unlikely that it would be a direct conflict between Russia, China, and us and Japan and our other allies, the axis of Western Europe. But what could happen, and what we talked about and what I was alluding to, is, normally most world wars begin with something small that blossoms into a much bigger conflagration. And my fear is Taiwan. And again, like I talked about in the 3 o'clock hour, what the hell do we do if this country that's building 74% of the ships right now and has a Navy that absolutely dwarfs ours, what if she decides to blockade Taiwan and nobody comes in and nobody gets out? We'd have to run the blockade or send in paratroopers. And then essentially you do have World War III. And with their naval superiority right now, I can't predict it, but that would be a bloody conflict. And in the end, the team that's losing, the country that's losing, would threaten nuclear weapons and probably use them if their security was threatened. So I don't think it's likely, basically, is what I'm saying. All right? All right, John. Thanks for the call, man. You got somebody else? All right, let's go to break. 842-5376, our phone number, 842-KERN. Is that funny? Friends of mine call the show, and when I don't pick up the phone, they text me. She texts me, I'm on hold, Ralph. Let's go. What's the matter with you? Answer the damn phone. Stop rambling. No, she didn't say all that. She just said, I'm on hold, which made me go to the phone, so it's a good thing she did. At least I got friends listening to the broadcast.
Yeah, but don't give them the idea, because then you're going to get text messages while they're on hold all the time.
Oh, that's probably a good thing. And you should keep reminding me that somebody's on hold. Because I saw you, but then I, started rambling as I want to do. Quick timeout, not on time before we get to the top of the hour. And it's damn near time for Dodger baseball. It is a must-win Wednesday for the boys. We can still win this world championship up 3-2 as we go to Canada. But if we go down 3-2 and we have to win 2 there, it gets dicey. It's not impossible. It gets dicey. Let's all remember, we were down 2-1 in a 5-game series last year, won the last 2. Granted, they were in Los Angeles, but nevertheless, this club gets up big when it has to. We've got Blake Snell taking the bump for us in about 20 minutes. Game 5, and the Game 5 winner in most series, and I don't think it's restricted to baseball. I think in any Game 7 series, the Game 5 winner wins the 7-game series 68% of the time. Gargantuan game about to get underway down in Chavez Ravine. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 at AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
News Talk 96.1.
Messmaker?
You got one?
Yeah.
Fairly recent?
Yeah.
Gun to fall, just got word that Stan Ellis, who took over the assembly seat in the state for Vince Vaughn, will not run for re-election. About 20 minutes later, announcing David Couch for assembly. That's right, the dominoes will tumble. Now, who's going to announce to take Supervisor Couch's seat? We shall see.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Hope you join us every Thursday, particularly at 4:30, when Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors joins us. Daniel gives us a weekly update on the deficit and its growth. We look at silver and gold and obviously the stock market and all kind of economic issues that most importantly impact you. But again, you guys know what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. They're all about retirement. I keep telling you guys, it's one of the smartest moves that I've ever made financially. Call Daniel at 395-9400, 395-9400 if retirement is in your near future. Or just tune in Thursdays at 4:30 when he joins us every week. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future, option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Inc., DBA Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast are us based upon the information available to us at the time. We are under no obligation to update our views.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt
Oh, did
reduction
they-
you may
did-
qualify
oh.
for, call 800-399-7272.
Massachusetts.
800-399-7272. Again, that's 800-399-7272.
Trucordia, a new name, but a trusted partner for Kern County businesses. With more than 100 years of combined experience, Trucordia delivers cost-saving strategies, risk-reducing solutions, and easy online tools to simplify benefits management. Trucordia goes beyond health benefits, helping your business thrive. Call Trucordia today at 661-401-2280. Trucordia, building trust, creating harmony, protecting Kern County businesses. Trucordia, 661-401-2280.
Not again. This copier is always jamming.
We should call American Business Machines.
Since 1927, American Business Machines, an authorized Canon dealer, has been providing reliable office solutions. From state-of-the-art copiers to advanced printers, we ensure your business runs smoothly. Visit abm1.com or call us today at 1-877-YES-ABM1. That's 1-877-937-2261. American Business Machines, your trusted partner for all your office technology needs.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Tased the bitch. Said he shot her in the face. As he promised. This isn't one. Is this one of the? I was going to say this is the one that should have been in there.
Yes. At least over was it Toxic?
Yes, Britney Spears' "Toxic" by the Today Show people is considered a Halloween movie.
Again, I vote that as a Carson Daly ad. I don't think the Today Show people had anything to do with that one.
Monster Mash. We're following the Today Show. They're doing brackets on best Halloween song, and Thriller beat Bad Moon Rising. How is Bad Moon Rising a Halloween song?
I mean, you can kind of get away with it because Bad Moon Rising could be kind of like a werewolf thing, maybe.
Yeah, okay. I Put a Spell on You, which is a great song. Beat Somebody's Watching You.
Which version did they put up for that, by the way?
I Put a Spell
CCR did
on
a
You?
version. I mean, the I Put a Spell on You song.
Wasn't it Buster Poindexter?
But that's what I'm saying. Buster Poindexter had a version. CCR had a version.
No, I think
of
it was Buster. I think it was Buster.
Okay, so it's the original.
I met him in Vegas. Played craps with him in Vegas at the Migum. You know what the Migum is, don't you?
MGM.
Yeah. It's an old Dean Martin joke. Stole from Dean. Yeah, that beats Somebody's Watching You. This is how. Please stand by.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Ralph, you're going to the bookstore tomorrow. I hope you're supporting our local bookshop, Russo's. Mark, owner of Russo's, can get you any book you're looking for, and you can order online. We need to support our local storekeepers. Make me feel guilty because I'm going to the local bookstore near my house.
Because I love Russo's, grew up going to Russo's, and I miss when they were at the Valley Plaza, or no, I'm sorry, the Marketplace. But I don't even know where it is, or don't even know where it's been since then. Where are we talking about here? You can't say go to the place and not tell us where it is.
Don't be yelling at my friends. What's
I'm just
the matter
saying,
with
like,
you?
help us out here.
Go to the bookstore.
I want to know where it is.
Well, I mean, we could find it on my phone. I just have to put it in like a Google or Google Map or something. This is Halloween beats Psycho Killer. Another non-Halloween story song, if you ask me. Thank you. People are now calling. Hey, I'm on the air. I've got you. You've got to call 842-5376. I'm on the air. Can you hear me? Wait, where am I?
Uh-oh.
Did I hang up on her? I think I hung up on her.
Looks like you should have went with JR to get a new phone.
No, I'm an old man. Don't know how to work my phone. No, you got to call the show. Yeah. And after the break, because we're about to go to break, where I've got some news. I told you about the Sonia Massey case, the black woman with mental issues who called the police because she thought there was a prowler. She picked up a boiling water and was shot by one of the deputies or one of the police officers. This was in Illinois' capital of Springfield. He was a bad cop. And not just because he was accused of killing this woman in the line of duty, but he was a cop that somehow got hired by the Springfield Police Department. Again, this is the capital of Illinois. With 2 DUIs on his record. One of the DUIs he got when he was in the Army, so they threw him out of the Army. And then, even though he got hired, he had a history of disciplinary problems, not only with his own people, but in dealing with the public. And in my opinion, it was a bad shoot, where the woman was cowering. She wasn't going to throw the boiling water on him. Plus, he had a taser, and instead he shot her 3 times. Well, he was up for murder, and a verdict is in. I'll have that for you when we come back. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Stick around. Don't go anywhere.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM.
She called?
Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
Call her back.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Russian mobsters are sentenced to 25 years in prison for a foil plot to assassinate Iranian dissident journalist Masih Alinejad in New York. Alinejad says she's grateful for the sentencing.
This is the dream that millions of Iranians are fighting. They want to have justice. That's why I want to say this is a historical day. I grew up in a small village in Iran where I was brainwashed with, alongside millions of schoolgirls, schoolboys, to try to get to America. How ironic. The same country, America, gave me second life. That's the true face of justice.
The Federal Reserve cuts its key interest rate by a quarter of a point today. Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell says the labor market is slowing while inflation remains higher than the Fed would like.
Risks to inflation are tilted to the upside and risks to employment to the downside. A challenging situation. There is no risk-free path for policy as we navigate this tension between our employment and inflation goals.
He also said the Fed wouldn't commit to another rate cut in December. With tariffs lurking, it seems consumers would rather have a used car.
Used car retailer Carvana reported higher third quarter profit and revenue on Wednesday, aided by strong demand for pre-owned vehicles. Demand for used vehicles has remained strong as consumers want older cars to avoid hefty price tags on the new vehicles caused by tariffs. Cox Automotive reports tariffs have actually led to a stronger used vehicle market.
That's Bill Alexander reporting. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 74 points. The Nasdaq rose 131. The S&P down a fraction. More at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. A high school employee has been arrested for allegedly having sex with a student. Bakersfield Police Special Victims Unit answered the call from Del Oro High School of an inappropriate relationship between the employee and a student. They arrested 26-year-old Salvador Fabian on multiple charges, including having an unlawful sexual relationship with a student. Police say that they don't believe there are any more victims. Fabian was booked into the Kern County Jail. Protesters are demanding that an ICE facility in California City be closed. Groups rallied for a national day of action to honor lives lost in detention center. City leaders gathered to review CoreCivic's application to operate the old prison as an ICE detention center. Protesters gathered outside have been urging the city to deny their permits. Advocates have filed a lawsuit against CoreCivic to demand that they shut down. A man could be sentenced to over 100 years in prison after being convicted of shooting and killing a man at point-blank range back in 2022. Michael Castillo was found guilty on multiple charges, including first-degree murder and being a felon in possession of a firearm. The DA's office also says that Castillo had suffered 2 previous strikes. While deputies were pursuing him, they searched a home and found an AR-15 that they say belonged to him. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is on the lookout for a man on multiple weapons charges after he allegedly showed deputies a gun in Rosamond. Christopher Carson allegedly disregarded deputies' orders and displayed a Glock-style handgun while leaving the scene. You can see his picture on KCSO social media. Carson is considered armed and dangerous. Anyone who knows anything is asked to call the Kern County Sheriff's Office. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 29th day of October. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. It is time for Dodger baseball. We are just about to get underway down at Dodger Stadium, and the Dodgers have shifted the lineup a little bit for tonight. And I'm trying to look that up for you, but I'm pretty sure Shohei is still leading off. Will Smith will now be in the second spot to kind of defend Shohei. Here it is. It's Shohei Ohtani. Will Smith's going to bat second. Mookie Betts has been moved down to third. Excuse me. I thought he should have gone down much further. This is when I think Dave Roberts manages with his heart as opposed to, what needs to get done. The reality is Mookie is 3 for 19 in the series. He's hitting $158, and that makes Will Smith very vulnerable. If you get Shohei out and now you've got one out and you've got Will Smith, you're not going to pitch to him because here comes instant out Mookie all of a sudden. So I would have put Mookie down 6th or 7th. The problem is, who do you promote upwards? Max Muncy is hitting $176, a guy that we depend on. Tommy Edman is hitting $167. That's just not going to get it done. Just not going to get it done. So Betts will hit third. Freeman's going to hit fourth. Teo Hernandez is hitting fifth. That's what I would have. I would put Teo third, put Mookie in the 5 hole, and then you got the cast of no-hitters, Edman 6, Muncy 7, Kike 8, and Call is going to play left field and bat 9th. They sat down Andy Paez finally after he was hitting 80. Not 180, not 280, but 80. And so he had to go. Last week, I told you about the case of Sonia Massey, a black woman who called 911 to report a suspected prowler. She was a woman with mental issues, claimed her family. And you may have seen the video of the deputy's name who shot her, Sean Grayson. You can go on YouTube or somewhere and see the video where he and a fellow officer walk in. They talked. She sat down on the couch for a little bit, and then somehow they allowed her to go into her kitchen where she had some boiling water, and you can hear her say, "I don't feel comfortable And she does pick up the water threateningly. There's no question about that. And Grayson screams out something to the effect that I'm not going to let you throw that effing water in my effing face. I will shoot you in your effing face. And she says, I'm sorry, and cowers down. And instead of using a taser or maybe, running to danger and kicking that thing of water out of her hand, he shot her 3 times. Well, he was up for murder. And now, Chris hands me this, a jury on Wednesday convicted an Illinois sheriff deputy of second-degree murder, a lesser charge. That's a little disappointing. In the shooting death of Sonia Massey, a black woman who called 911 to report a suspected prowler, Sean Grayson could be sentenced to up to 20 years in prison or even probation. Oh, that would be a travesty. The jury did not convict him of first-degree murder, a crime that carries a sentence of 45 years to life. Quote, while we believe Grayson's actions deserved a first-degree conviction, today's verdict is still a measure of justice for Sonia Massey. It's Ben Crump, the African-American bald man that I'm sure you all have seen on newsreels. He is newsreels, Ralph? Really? It's the 40s. On news casts or on reels on Facebook. He has made he has cornered the market on defending black folks who have been either wrongfully shot or, obviously the case that put him on the map was George Floyd. And then whenever that would occur, which unfortunately, in my opinion, I know y'all disagree with me, but it's way too common. Because how does this guy become a celebrity? You all know who Ben Crump is, right? Of course you do. And if you saw people, you don't know him by name, you'd certainly know him by face. So if I'm wrong that black people aren't getting killed a lot by police officers across this nation, how is this guy a national commodity? He's cornered the market. It's every couple of months you see him in some town giving a news conference about why the police officer should be convicted. And he gets millions for his client. Grayson and another deputy arrived at Massey's home in Springfield, Illinois, early on the morning of July 6, 2024, after she reported a prowler. He shot the 36-year-old woman after confronting her about how she was handling a pot of hot water she had removed from her stove. Oh, if he gets probation, that would just be an absolute travesty. Absolute travesty. 842-5376, 842. Nada called me, texted me back, and I guess this is for Chris's edification, or anybody else wants to know where Russo's is located. 1601 New Stein, Suite 182.
Thank you.
But I'm not going way over there when I could walk down the street and go to Barnes and Nobles. I'm sorry. I know I should, but it's just convenience. I'm sorry. I wish I could. I can't lie to you and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go way across town to New Stein to buy a book."
Right over here.
But that's a lot farther from
than across the street.
Across the
grant
street,
you,
yeah,
100%.
exactly. Ooh, Springer is back in the lineup for the Toronto Blue Jays. We're about to get started. Or no, is that Springer?
It's not Springer.
That's Springer. That isn't Springer. My bad.
No, Springer's not playing today.
Thank you, Jesus.
He's not starting today.
I just had the
He's
lineup.
playing, but he's not starting today.
I just had the lineup. I don't know why I even looked at it. I looked like Springer. Let me see what their lineup looks like today. That's Schneider leading off for the Blue Jays. Vlad is sitting second. Bouchette is sitting third. Alejandro Kirk is sitting fourth. Fatso. Varsho fifth. Clement sixth. Barger seventh. Falafa eighth. And Jimenez. See, that's the problem. The bottom of their lineup, Varsho, Clement, Barger. What did I tell you? Barger is hitting 429. Clement is hitting 316. Fatso, Kirk is hitting 357. Bichette hitting 364. That's the heart of their lineup. No, they did not start with a leadoff home run.
First pitch.
Wow. That's all right.
Vladdy.
That's all right. That's how Yamamoto started when he went the distance in Milwaukee.
Yes, he did.
Started off with a leadoff home run.
100%.
And then they put on that damn stupid jacket.
Oh, Lord.
You got to be... Wow. Three pitches, and it's 2-0. Wow. Well, listen to Randy. Listen to Randy. That no good piece of crap. I hate Giant fans. I can't stand Giant fans. Oh, see, now, you see Pedro? That's right, I called him Pedro. We need to put one in his neck after that little performance. Fatso running around slower than my grandmother, and then he did a little something coming down the third base line. I swear to God, if I was Blake Snell, I'd put one in his neck the next time he came up.
To be fair, everybody does something.
Let's start a little rivalry with these guys. Let's put one in their neck. Let's start a little rivalry. Maybe that'll fire us up. Good God Almighty! The boys thrown 3 pitches and we're down 2-0. Good, Google it. 842-5376, 842-KR. Let's go ahead and take a break. Come right back. We'll check the board. I got to get to the Shafter story where they are rebuking the High-Speed Rail Authority, who wants to tear up the beautiful city of Shafter. They're just asking to take another route and not go through the heart of their gorgeous town. I think the most beautiful community in Bakersfield, or in Kern County for that matter. Bottom of the hour, Abby Phillip, a Harvard grad, CNN host of Newsmakers at 7 o'clock on CNN, has written a book about the Reverend Jesse Jackson and his 1988 bid to become president of the United States. I covered that convention as a young reporter, not only the convention, but the campaign. And I've got some audio of Jesse, just in case you forgot what a dynamic speaker he truly was, and what a threat he was to the Democratic Party in 1988. That was the ticket that included Michael Dukakis and Texas Senator Lloyd Benson as his vice presidential candidate. You guys remember, you remember in the vice presidential debate with Dan Quayle, who would go on to become vice president, where Quayle compared himself to John Kennedy. And Benson was an old man. So Benson was like, Mr. Quayle, I knew Jack Kennedy. I served with Jack Kennedy. Mr. Quayle, you're no Jack Kennedy. And the place erupted. But see, that goes to show just how important vice presidential debates are. Because as we all know, Michael Dukakis went down in a gargantuan defeat to George Herbert Walker Bush. A rarity where a sitting vice president wins the presidency. Quick timeout. We're coming right back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, and we're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, no Dr. Corey because he's lazy, but we will have the latest on the government shutdown. And I just got the list of dentists' preferred things to give out for Halloween, plus news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at KernRadio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Adaptive Networks. Are you a business owner who feel that your IT company just treats you just like another ticket number? Well, at Adaptive Networks, exceptional customer service isn't just a promise. It's how they do business every single day. And when you call, you're actually talking to a real person who knows your name, understands your business, and genuinely cares about solving your problems. No phone trees, no runaround, no attitude. From the moment you become a client, you'll experience the difference that comes from working with a company that puts customer service first. And no one knows that better than the folks here at American General Media, because we've teamed up with Adaptive Networks. Ready to experience IT support the way it should be? Call Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638 or visit adaptive-net.com today. Adaptive Networks, where great technology meets even greater customer service.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into
Carpet Outlet Plus.
Every day is sale day.
Oh no, Dad, I spilled juice on the carpet.
Don't worry, kiddo. We have stain-resistant carpet from Carpet Outlet Plus.
Dad, look, he dumped his water bowl all over the new floors.
Everything is fine. We have brand new waterproof floors from Carpet Outlet Plus. You can find everything you need for family-proof floor at Bakersfield's best flooring store. Now offering 1 year, no interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Norma Diaz, owner of La Rosa Fruit Bars and Ice Cream.
Hi, I'm Norma Diaz from La Rosa Fruit Bars and Ice Cream, and I'm a client and friend of Paul Sheldon. I've known Paul for many, many years, and my parents happened to be his first clients. So, of course, I called Paul and immediately felt this peace come over me, knowing that I didn't have to freak out about making a big decision. His knowledge about Medicare and your health insurance needs are beyond compare, and I was taken care of immediately by his wonderful staff. He knew everything that I needed and what I wouldn't need, so I was pretty much in and out of there in record time. If you're getting to that age or you're going to be needing to know about Medicare, then he's the one to call. He will totally help you out and get you pointed in the right direction. You're going to leave there feeling a great accomplishment and no concerns. And even if you have questions later, his staff can help you out. Those feelings are just priceless to me. So call Paul. You'll be glad you did.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Is this still in the race?
No. No, we got past the one.
What beat this?
Richard Thriller did, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is a
Green
great
Jed
song.
Hawkins. That's who we were thinking of.
This is a great song. I put a spell on you. Another verdict has come in. This, a local verdict. The Madison Williams DUI case, which I thought was open and shut. I mean, I think most of us that are engaged that follow the news have seen the video where I don't know whether she passed out or was just drunk as a skunk and drove into a home and injured folks. The home caught on fire. People were physically injured. I don't think from the fire. I think from her ramming her, I think it was a Mercedes into the video. Have you ever seen the video?
I haven't seen the video, but
It's yeah. Her car is sticking out of their home, and half the house has come down, and I thought it was open and shut. But I'll read you what KGT is reporting and tell you why it took them as long as it did to deliberate, because it took them like a couple of days to deliberate. But I'm reading now from KGT. Please stand by because it's on my phone. I got to put on my cheaters. How did I use that? Oh, Lord. Hey, please stand by. The old man doesn't know how to work his phone. I just had it. Why can't I pull this up? Now I've totally lost it. Can you look it up real quick? Hang on, let me try one more time. Okay, I think I got it. Here it is. I got it.
Yeah, okay.
Madison Williams has been found guilty of felony DUI charges for a crash in which her car plowed into a home and injured a family, leaving a toddler with a skull fracture and broken bones, according to Superior Court staff. Sentencing scheduled for December 4th. On September 14th, 2022, Williams's Mercedes-Benz C300 ran a stop sign and crashed into a home at Old River Road and Taft Highway, catching fire. The occupants of the home managed to escape, but were injured. At trial, and this is the crux and why it took the deliberation so long. At trial, prosecutor William Moore said breath and blood tests revealed Williams's blood alcohol content was more than twice the legal limit. Defense attorney Jared Thompson, who's a really good attorney, argued Williams's blood alcohol level was below the legal limit at the time of the crash, but continued to rise and was above the limit by the time her blood was drawn more than 2 hours later. And that is a physiological fact that if I were to get drunk right now at 5:23, let's say I could just take enough drinks in 2 minutes to get me drunk right now at 5:23 in the afternoon. If you tested me at 6 o'clock, my blood alcohol level would be lower than it would be 2 hours later. That is a physiological fact. And I think that's why it took them so long. And there are ways to manipulate that. There are some really good DUI attorneys in this town that will challenge the calibration of the breathalyzer and things like that. I've seen people who were dead to rights, who blew twice the legal limit, who got out of that because, and there's one particular attorney who specializes, in fact, he writes books that other attorneys read throughout the country. I'm not going to mention because he owes us some money, but I'm not going to mention. But there's one really, really superior. It's not Jared Thompson, but he's a good attorney as well. Who you got?
You got Daryl on the line.
Daryl, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Hey, Mr. Bailey.
It's Ralph. It's Ralph.
Oh, okay. Ralph, I was raised old school. Sorry.
It's okay.
You were talking earlier about people being stopped by police.
Yes, sir.
I trained my son that when you're stopped by the police, it's yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. 3 bags full.
That's right.
I'll dance on your hood if you want. If you tell me to do so, I'd rather have a humiliated son than a dead one.
Hands on the wheel. I think that's back in the day, at least. I don't know if families are still doing that, but back in the day, every father had that discussion with their sons or daughters. Like if there's a problem at the stop, we can deal with that later. But you, yes, sir, no, ma'am, hands on the wheel at 10 and 2. And when they ask for your registration, tell him, this is what my father told me, tell the officer, I'm reaching into my glove compartment to get my registration. Now, people mostly have that on their phones, but if you grew me up with, if you make any movement within the car, tell the officer that's exactly what you're doing.
Your father was a very smart man.
Yes, he was.
I've heard the stories that you used to tell where you got arrested, and I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. You got to say that again. You're drowning out a little bit. We didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Your father, you had a run with the police, and he was very smart, did the right thing.
When did I have a run-in with the police?
When you were young, you used to tell a story on your, I don't know.
I'm assuming it's probably the one where you were put on the
At
side
the
of the
Fox
road.
Hills Mall?
I don't know. You told the story, but I was really impressed how your father dealt with it.
The only time I had trouble with the cops was when I got pulled off of a backhoe at the construction site of the Fox Hills Mall, and they took me to the Hawthorne. They didn't put me in cuffs, and they made me sit on a bench, and my grandmother had to get me. That's my only run-in. Are you talking about the Pasadena story where I had to sit on the curb as they ran my license?
I think so. I think that's it.
Yeah, you're right. I almost got into trouble. I almost got smart with the guy. I'll tell that story after you get off the phone. Yeah, that's a pretty good story. All right, man. Thanks for the call.
Thanks.
All right, take care. I think what he's alluding to is when I was in my 20s, living in LA, I dated a beautiful track star named Kimberly Michelle Williams. And she lived with her parents in South Pasadena, which is a very, very, very Tony, wealthy community. And I would come up there chugging in my little Chevy Chevette. And believe me, I get it, because there are no Chevy Chevettes in South Pasadena. So I understood why he stopped me, but I'm dressed like Carlton Banks in a yellow sweater, white shirt, khakis. I was a little preppy in the 80s, and made me sit on the curb. A month later, it's Thanksgiving. I'm going to Kim's house again in the same Chevy Chevette, and the guy stopped me again, made me sit on the curb. And I said, you don't even remember me. You've stopped me before for the very same thing, just to check my license. And he turned around and said, nigga, do you want to go to jail today? And the presence of my dad popped up, and I said, no, sir, I apologize. It was traumatic. It was so bad when I got to Kim's house, her mother opened the door and she said, "What's wrong, Ralph?" And I go, "Nothing, Mrs. Williams. Why?" She goes, "You look horrible." And I laughed and I said, "Thanks, Mrs. Williams. I'm going on a date with your daughter." And she goes, "No, you look like something's wrong." And I never told her. I didn't want to say, "Well, I just got into a run-in with the cops and they made me sit on the curb like a gangbanger." Ugh. That's when my love, well, let me shut up. I still respect police, but I can't say that I love. There are a lot of, no, let me shut up. 842-5376, 842-KERN. You got somebody?
No, we got 30 seconds.
Oh. Last half hour of the broadcast. Dodgers down 2-0. It's not looking good after just 2 innings. A lot of baseball left. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kurtradio.com. Call Bento
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Even while warning
Hey,
about
how you
national
doing?
security and human rights abuses, the U.S. government across five Republican and Democratic administrations has repeatedly allowed and even actively helped American firms to sell technology to Chinese police, government, and surveillance companies. That, according to an Associated Press investigation. The United States will share closely held technology to allow South Korea to build a nuclear-powered submarine, according to President Trump on his social media page Thursday. President Lee Jae-myung stressed to Trump in their Wednesday meeting that the goal was to modernize the alliance with the U.S., noting plans to increase military spending to reduce the financial burden on America. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. Protesters are demanding that an ICE facility in California City be closed. Groups rallied for a national day of action to honor lives lost in detention center. City leaders gathered to review CoreCivic's application to operate the old prison as an ICE detention center. Protesters gathered outside of it, urging the city to deny their permits. A man could be sentenced to over 100 years in prison after being convicted of shooting and killing a man at point-blank range back in 2022. Michael Castillo was found guilty on multiple charges, including first-degree murder and being a felon in possession of a firearm. While deputies were pursuing Castillo, they searched a home and found an AR-15 they say belonged to him. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage California can count on.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Agape Air. You know, when the air just isn't right, call the team that gets it done right. That's Agape Air, keeping homes comfortable for 18 years. Locally owned and always professional. And who knows better than I? They serve my complex. From smart thermostat help to service requests, repairs, replacements, and preventative maintenance, Agape Air is prompt, knowledgeable, and delivers quality you can trust. Don't sweat it. Call Agape Air at 661-399-6600 today. Agape Air, comfort you can feel, service you can trust.
Thursday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show will give you the absolute latest on the shutdown. And President Trump is in Asia, theoretically meeting with China. We'll see how that goes, Buck. Plus,
Could a trade deal be on the horizon? We will break that down for you and take a look at what it would mean for the economy. Plus, speaking of the economy, what's the shutdown going to do to it if it keeps going? We'll talk about it on Clay and Buck.
live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk.
The Mamdani, Curtis Sliwa, Andrew Cuomo race, and as our former federal magistrate judge Teresa Goldner, who was in New York visiting her lovely daughter, told us, the race is tightened. I saw a poll today that has Mamdani ahead 44% to Cuomo's 34%, and Curtis Sliwa, the Republican in the race, who has absolutely no chance of winning, but hates Andrew Cuomo, and would rather see, in my opinion, although he doesn't say this publicly, I think he'd rather see Mamdani become mayor of New York than Cuomo, because I think now with this lead, because at one point, as Teresa told us on Tuesday, the Mamdani lead was as big as 20 points. And remember, New York is one of those kooky states. They've been voting since Saturday. And they obviously right up until the day of the election. But there have been some things that have come out that have kind of shifted. I don't know if we can say that it's enough to change the outcome, but there's been a shift. Remember, this isn't anti-Semitic. This is just a simple fact. There is a large contingency of Jews in the city of New York, and what Cuomo is trying to do at the end is try to highlight some of the anti-Semitic things and anti-police things that Mamdani, this 34-year-old, has said throughout his career. In fact, Chris was able to find this from September of 23, was it? Here is perhaps the next mayor of New York.
We have to make clear that when the hoop of the NYPD is on their neck, it's been laced by the IDF.
So he's comparing the New York Police Department to the Israeli Defense Force, which is a slap at both Israel and cops at the same time. You find any Cuomo things commenting on this? Here is
not directly on this, but it's just him talking about how socialism just won't work.
No. Here is the former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo.
When it comes to a big issue, and when we have to come together, nobody comes together like family, and we are the Democratic family. 2 points. Mayor Adams hit the first point. The Democratic Party is having a civil war. You don't hear it, you don't see it, but it's going on in this election. And there's 2 sides that are fighting. You have a far-left extremist group that are called themselves socialists. Socialist sounds nice, utopia. Socialism hasn't worked anywhere. Venezuela had socialism, didn't work. Cuba was socialist, didn't work. Socialism is not going to work for New York City.
He's absolutely right. He could not be more right. He could not be more right. But his campaign over the last couple of weeks and since voting has started is trying to tie some of the crazy things that Mamdani has said that he's trying to walk away from. In fact, did we play the audio of him apologizing to the police?
We did. I can pull it in a second.
Yeah, let's see if we have that, because we played the audio out of order. We should have played the bite that we just played for you first, and then played the apology. He's apologizing for the comment we just played.
I'll apologize to police officers right here, because this is the apology that I've been sharing with many rank and file officers. And I apologize because of the fact that I'm looking to work with these officers, and I know that these officers, these men and women who serve in the NYPD, they put their lives on the line every single day.
That's a lie. It's a brilliant move. It's a mea culpa always works. It's always better to apologize, particularly politically. But he's lying. I think he and his wing of the Democratic Party, AOC, I think they have absolute contempt for the police. This is a man
who went even further than the dumbest political cliche, in my opinion, in American history: defund the police. Post George Floyd, that was the dumbest, most idiotic cliche that the Democratic Party came up with that probably gave us Trump, if you want to know the truth. Defund the police. But this guy's gone even further. Further, you see the difference? He's taking an idea even further. Distances are farther. Just a little grammatical advice for you. And he's taking it even further by saying, we should get rid of the cops. We should get rid of bail. We should decriminalize many of the felonies that are on the books. This guy will be a complete disaster, and I'm trying to curb my enthusiasm for his victory because that would be horrendous for the city of New York. And I have relatives, as I said, I've got relatives and friends that live in New York, and it's the greatest city perhaps in America, particularly economically. Clearly, it's the greatest city in the world, you could argue. But this would be great for the GOP. I really do. I believe that the success of Gavin Newsom would be wonderful for Republicans. I think the success of AOC, if she challenges Chuck Schumer in 2028 in the Senate, would be great for Republicans. And I think if Mamdani gets in and tries to provide government grocery stores in the 5 boroughs, wants to give free busing where you can bus around the city for free, which is a really good idea. Rent control, those are great ideas on paper. On paper. Socialism is a great idea on paper. But as Cuomo chronicles, it's never worked. It's never worked. And yes, it's worked in some Nordic tiny countries like Sweden. But like I said, Sweden is the size of like New York. It could never work in a multicultural, diverse, regional country with 250, 300 million people. So there's part of me that was enthusiastic about their victory. And I'm not a Cuomo fan. As I said, he was a horrendous governor who, while in office, had 13 different sexual assault allegations leveled against him. Nothing that went further, obviously, or he'd be in jail, or at least in trial. And there are many, many New Yorkers who will tell you they hold him responsible for the death of their mother or their grandmother because the COVID situation in New York and nursing homes was absolutely botched. There's no debate about that. But Cuomo has been able to duck and dodge responsibility, which is insane. They could not have picked 2 worse candidates to take on this kid than Eric Adams, who dropped out, and this failed governor, Andrew Cuomo. It's mind-boggling to me that he's Mario Cuomo's dad. Because, granted, I was a liberal Democrat in the 80s, but Mario Cuomo was an outstanding governor. And as I talked about when we had Teresa on Tuesday, he broke my heart as a young man, young liberal, when he refused to run for the presidency, because I think he would have been a great president. And we ended up losing, I think it was 84 where they were trying to get him to run. And it ended up being Jimmy Carter's vice president, Walter Mondale, who literally lost 49 states. Reagan beat him 49-1. It's one of the biggest landslides in American history. Although you got to give this to Walter Mondale, he did what Al Gore couldn't do, won his home state. And the hilarious part of Gore not winning his home state, had he won Tennessee, he'd have been president of the United States and not George Walker Bush. Couldn't win his home state. And why? His father, Al Gore Sr., was a senator. So he went to the high schools that Sasha and Malia went to, and most children of senators and congressmen who live in D.C. I forget what it's called, but there's this really elite private school that all the incredibly affluent and politically connected people send their kids to. And he went to high school in D.C. He didn't grow up in Nashville. And so he couldn't even carry his own home state, and it cost him the presidency. You know he still thinks about that. You know he still thinks about that. I've always said, we were talking about it the other night when we got blown out, you'd rather get blown out than get edged. You'd rather get blown out than get edged. Because if you get blown out, there's nothing to think about. You did nothing right, and they did nothing wrong. There's nothing to think about. You got blown out. But when you lose close races or close games, you ruminate and you think, if I had only done this, if we had only done that, if we had changed that. And Gore has to live with the fact, had I only won my home state, I would have been the president of the United States. That's crazy. That is crazy. Our final break of the night. Keep it locked. The Charlie Kirk Show coming up at the top of the hour. Tomorrow is a Thursday. Mike Turnipseed returns to the fold live in studio. And, of course, our money man, Daniel Petrie. And we'll also talk with Kathy Abernathy, our Monday regular. Kathy's going to talk about, she was at a book signing. Brett Baer was in, I don't think he was in town. Do you remember where Kathy said she was going to the book signing for Brett Baer? I think it was in Los Angeles. But I wouldn't be surprised if my choo-choo train goes off in just a second, because Kathy listens on the regular.
I forgot about that. She was supposed to join us today, wasn't she?
Yeah, but I had to put her off because I had way too much to do. So she's going to join us tomorrow at 3:30 and talk about Brett Baer's book on TR. Do you know who TR is?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Theodore Roosevelt. Bully. I've read several books on Teddy Roosevelt. I actually know quite a lot about Teddy Roosevelt. You know, you talk about running for a third term. I believe TR was the first president in American history to run for 3 terms. As I hope most of you know, but I'm not going to test anybody, William McKinley gets shot in 1901. TR is the vice president. He takes over, and he is the president for the next 8 years. He steps aside. He puts forward William Taft, Big Fatso, who started the 7th inning stretch. True story. William Taft was at a ball game, and in the 7th inning, he stood up. When the president stands up, everybody stands up, and that's how we have the 7th inning stretch. Back to TR. So TR steps aside after his 8-year term, elects Taft, hates Taft's conservative move to the right, and tries to create the Bull Moose Party and runs for a 3rd term. And he failed quite miserably. But I believe that is the first man to ever attempt a 3rd term. And of course, you all know, I pray, Franklin Roosevelt, first elected in 32, re-elected in 36, ran for a 3rd term and won in 1940. And we were in the middle of war in 44, so he ran again and won, and then died a year later, 1945. And that's when Harry Truman took over and had the unenviable task of dropping a couple of bombs on the Japanese. Final time out of the night. Keep it locked. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 at AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
By Thursday's Armstrong and Getty Show, Trump will have met with President Xi of China and will know what sort of grand bargain was struck around all these tariffs.
And the city that's saying, thank goodness Trump set the National Guard. There's so much less crime. It's funny, you haven't heard about that from the mainstream media, have you? That in the news of the day. Of course, that's what we do on the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
California Fruit Depot has invited us back to advertise after their wildly successful free lemon promotion that we did last time.
Back here once again.
I don't know if you know this, but we were considered for nomination for a Marconi Radio Excellence Award for our last spot.
No way.
California Fruit Depot, they invited us back to let people know about Faltoberfest.
Chris.
Yes. First of all, I think if you put fest at the end of anything, it sounds more inviting and more welcoming. It's going to be a good time.
You know,
I think everyone will enjoy it. It's kind of a place where you can get your picture taken with a fall scene. You can play cornhole. More of a static display. But it's
Go for it.
Three, two. Kudos to the city of Shafter, which again, as I've told you, I think is the finest city, best run, most beautiful community in all of Kern County. But kudos for them unanimously rejecting the high-speed rail authority's route through their community. We have to fight this boondoggle to the end. We have to fight this thing. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the. Oh, it's Kathy. She's at the Reagan Library. That's where she was. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. Well, it's a Thursday. Mike Turnipseed from Current Tax and our money man Daniel Petrie. And Kathy Abernathy makes a Thursday appearance. She went to a book signing at the Reagan Library. We'll talk about Teddy Roosevelt. All that, me at 3. TRBS, News Talk 96.1, AM 1180, KRN. I'll see you at 3.
$800-399-7272. Again, that's 800-399-7272.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Oh no, Dad, I spilled juice on the carpet.
Don't worry, kiddo. We have stain-resistant carpet from Carpet Outlet Plus.
Dad, look, he dumped his water bowl all over the new floors.
Everything is fine. We have brand new waterproof floors from Carpet Outlet Plus. You can find everything you need for family-proof floor at Bakersfield's best flooring store. Now offering 1-year, no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
So it's the same song, but just a different version of it.
I was about to say.
This is the better version, in my opinion. This is Marilyn Manson.
I think this is the one that
They actually played.
Yeah.
Because he did it on Fallon the other day.
Who did Daily?
No. Marilyn Manson went on Fallon and sung the song.
Marilyn Manson was on Fallon?
That's what I saw. Yeah, I saw a video.
I did not
I don't
know
if
he
it
was still
recent, but
I was about to say he's not still relevant, is he?
Nah, not like that. But I mean, I think he still holds weight within his fans.
So what was he doing on Fallon?
That's the only thing I could think of, is that maybe it was just because the Halloween season he was like the special guest singer, but I really don't know.
I don't watch the late night shows anymore, but it used to be if you were coming on one of those shows, you had something to pitch.
Right.
You had something to sell.
Yeah,
a
movie
book, a movie, a series, blah, blah, blah. But Marilyn Manson, I haven't heard that name in years and years. Good Google it, Moogly. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Dodgers in a tough spot, trailing 2-0, and Blake Snell looks anything but sharp. But, you know, what I always decided to say when we get down early, we'd have to score 3 runs to win anyway. You know, we're not going to shut out the Blue Jays. So a lot of baseball left, though. A lot of baseball left. What do you got on the board?
49 Larry has joined in.
What's he want?
He said, once again, I was right. Ralph Bailey is the only mush. Go Blue Jays.
What an idiot. American citizen rooting for a Canadian team. And does this really give you self-esteem, Larry? It must. A grown-ass man who gives himself a nickname and calls into a radio show to boast about teams that he couldn't pick out Toronto on a map. But I hope this gives you some kind of self-esteem, Larry. I really do. You're a strange man. How old do you think Larry is? I bet he's like 80-something. What else you got?
Those points that you made, Ralph, that you brought up, Ralph, about China is enough for a presidential campaign to win if they made that their most important platform issue.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And I wouldn't be surprised if J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio do use that and highlight that. If you weren't with us earlier, we were talking about the Xi-Trump meeting that I can't remember whether it's 7 o'clock Pacific or whether it was 7 o'clock Eastern time. So it would be going on already, but it's going to go on tonight. And some of the things that are at stake, soybean farmers is one of the big ones. The future of TikTok is another big one. The chemicals that are made for fentanyl, which primarily come out of China, and restrictions on rare earths, minerals. And while we were discussing that, we talked about how Xi is building a navy that is dwarfing ours, absolutely dwarfing ours. And Xi is building at a pace where they are building 74% of the ships being made on the planet right now. And what percentage is America making? 0.2. So you doggone Skippy, somebody is going to use that as a campaign promise that we have got to deal with China and stop turning ahead like the Biden administration did absolutely nothing. And again, if you look into the future and try to guesstimate what foreign policy issue is going to stick in our craw in terms of dealing with the superpowers, obviously with Russia, it's Ukraine and their expansion, because I personally don't believe Putin wants peace. I don't think there will be peace until he gets the other 80% of Ukraine that he's already occupied. And with Xi, it's this naval increase, this absolute, I don't even know what to call it, 74% to 0.2. That's crazy. That is crazy. And it is reminiscent of what went on in the middle of the 20th century, in the 1940s, where Western Europe just ignored Hitler. This little painter, this little corporal takes advantage of the economic woes and puts them back on a map. And the very first thing he does is create this Nazi Gestapo SS military that is unheard of. And Neville Chamberlain and the British and France, all these countries just ignored it. Neville Chamberlain's famous quote was, "We can do business with Mr. Hitler. And he'll never invade Poland. He'll never invade Czechoslovakia." Next thing you know, by 1940, because again, as I mentioned earlier, for us, the war began in 42, late 41, December 7th. But in Western Europe, the war began in 1939. And by 1940, France is occupied. They're goose-stepping down the Champs-Élysées. You should know that again, like I said earlier, if you saw Casablanca. So this is serious business. And the rare earth mineral situation, they've been in Africa doing their thing for years. And we've just lent a blind eye. It's inconceivable. It really is. What else you got? One more, couple more.
Did you see, I can't remember what show, but he compared Zoran Mindov to Jackie Robinson.
Well, that's insane. That's insane. I mean, yes, he is breaking a cultural barrier. The number of white folks and black folks that have run the city of New York, but that's stupid. Because Jackie Robinson was an anti-Semite, as Mamdani is, and he wasn't a socialist, as Mamdani is. In fact, you know, Jackie Robinson was a Republican. In fact, one of the only, I mean, you can't agree with every politician or every hero of yours, and you all should know that Jackie Robinson was my hero, but I didn't agree with everything that Jackie did. He was a Republican while I was a young man, as a young liberal Democrat, and I was kind of turned off by that. And it explained a lot, because throughout the 1960s, Jackie Robinson was one of the fervent, vehement voices that denounced a young Cassius Clay for A, becoming a Muslim, and then he was vehemently against Ali's stance on Vietnam and absolutely eviscerated Ali, that he was ungrateful, that he had made millions as a boxer and wasn't willing to give back to his country and didn't respect his religious beliefs that we now know, everybody thought it was a farce, that he was just pretending to be a Muslim so he didn't have to go to war. But as we now know, he was a devout Muslim till he died. And if you've ever seen the 60-Minute piece with Ed Bradley, you know that he would do his prayers every night and was a serious Muslim. But Jackie hated Muhammad Ali, and that hurt me. That really hurt me because, as you should also know, Ali, I think, was even in a higher echelon to me as a young kid than Jackie because he was hated. Jackie wasn't openly hated the way Ali was. White people could not stand Ali. It wasn't until the mid-'70s that Ali became the icon that he now is. I got to get out of here. For Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. We'll have to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump says he's reached a trade deal with South Korea.
On the last stop of his Asia trip, the president announced that a deal had been struck and was pretty much finalized. Later, the South Korean government confirmed a $350 billion investment package in the U.S. to include cash payments and shipbuilding cooperation. Also, U.S. tariffs on South Korean cars will be lowered from 25% to 15%.
Correspondent Greg Clugston reporting. Economist Steve Moore claims Democrats are keeping the government shut down because they want to spend more money on wasteful programs.
It is absolutely true. They want to spend more money on free health care for illegal immigrants. They want people who are not eligible for Medicare, Medicaid, and to continue to get that aid, even though their own auditors tell us that more than $200 billion a year is stolen from those programs by fraudsters.
Moore made his comments to the Salem Radio Network. Russian mobsters are sentenced to 25 years in prison for a foiled plot to assassinate Iranian dissident journalist Masih Alinejad in New York.
An Iranian-American journalist is thanking the U.S. justice system after a judge in New York sentences two Russian mobsters to 25 years in prison for their part in a plot to assassinate her on behalf of Iran by hiring a hitman to kill her on U.S. soil. The judge said she wanted to send a message to foreign powers about trying to kill Americans in the U.S. Julie Walker, New York.
A mixed day on Wall Street with the Dow down by 74 points. The Nasdaq rose 131. The S&P 500 down a fraction.
See you guys.
More at townhall.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old